Okay. And the digestive system itself is responsible for bringing in nutrients, processing those nutrients, and eliminating the waste products. Okay. You can think about it like a factory of a type, bringing in supplies, using the supplies that we need, and throwing away all the boxes that they came in and da da da, all of the waste stuff. Okay. Somebody's having problems connecting to audio. Check your microphone at the bottom of the screen or the audio settings on your device, and it should take care of that for you. Mahogany, you can go on and turn your screen off right now so that we don't see your background. Ariana, I've talked to you already. Amber and Tatiana, I need to see y'all this morning. Turn on your screen so that I can see you. Somebody's logged in as a phone number. I don't know who that person is, but you need to tap on the screen on your phone near the name, anywhere on your name, tap on that, and it should bring you up the option to change your name on there so that I can see your name.
Mr. Bone, are you gonna have
Yes,
us do the homework for
yes, I am.
chapter 3?
Yes, I am. And I'll give that
Okay,
out
bye.
today. All
Mr.
right.
Mahal,
Yes.
Amber's driving right now. She messaged
Okay.
me to let you know she's driving.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. So go ahead, Mahogany. Go ahead, and as long as you're driving, if you're sitting in the car, that's fine. If you're driving, turn your screen off and pay attention to your driving. But if you're just sitting there, that's fine. All right. So anyway, the digestive system, gastroenterology is the name of this discipline. Gastro meaning stomach. Entero refers to the intestines, and then logi is study of. So this word breaks down as the study of the stomach and the intestines. Okay. And doctors who work in this area will work on conditions and the health of those body parts, the stomach and the intestines. There are other organs associated with this system, and 9 altogether, and we will talk about all of them. But the name of the system stems from the two major portions, the stomach and the intestines. And as usual, we'll start with the function of this system. Why is it, what do we use it for? First of all, we have to bring in the appropriate nutrients into the body, and that's called ingestion. So we need to ingest the right foods in the right amounts. So it's not just a matter of eating right or eating the right thing. It's a matter of also eating the right thing in the right amounts. So you ever heard of too much of a good thing? Yeah. Some things we take in way excess, and as a result, it's unhealthy for us. So to have too little of a nutrient can be unhealthy, and to have too much of a nutrient can also be just as unhealthy. For example, there is a nutrient that we need that doesn't taste very well to us, but it's essential for the body. It's called iodine. And if you've ever had iodine in your mouth, which I have, iodine is what we use to stir to clean water in the military. And after you clean the water, you can taste the iodine in the clean water that you're drinking. So I've tasted iodine, and it's very bitter. And as a result, foods that contain iodine are not palatable to us. We don't eat those. We stay away from them. But iodine is essential in our diet. And if you'll remember from last module, there was something that the government stepped in and added the iodine to so that everybody would get plenty. It had to be something that would disguise the taste, but also something that people need every day. Anybody, y'all remember from last module what they added the iodine to?
Salt.
Salt. And that we now have iodized salt. That's to ensure that we get enough iodine that our thyroid gland works properly. So when we're not getting the right nutrients, sometimes controlling bodies, governments, and things like that have to step in, because lack of iodine leads to a condition called cretinism, which leads to varying levels of mental retardation. So it's essential that we have enough iodine every day. And that comes to, again, ingesting the right foods in the right amounts. So we've got to take in the right stuff in the right amount. Once we take that food stuff into our body, once we eat it, drink it, swallow it, we then have to digest it. Digestion means breaking it down to its base units. The first part we're going to do is break it down into smaller pieces. We do that by chewing it. But once it's down into our stomach and moving into our intestines, it has to be broken to its base units. For example, if we take, anybody know a food that's high in proteins? What type of food can you eat if you need if you want high proteins? Red
Some
meat,
beans.
some beans. So red
Uh,
meats, steak, beans are high in protein. But we can't use the protein in the state that they're in because the two things we just mentioned, meat, animals, and beings, plant life. Those are animal and plant proteins, not human proteins. So in order to use them, we've got to break them to their base units of all proteins, which is amino acids. So the steak that you eat, the animal proteins in there are broken down by your body to amino acids. And then those amino acids are used to create human proteins. So that's what we mean by the base units, stripping them down to whatever is the smallest unit of that food type. For proteins, it would be amino acids. You can think of it like a building. Now, all of y'all have been to the Quest College building. Okay? Now, I want you to imagine that I just got me a contract with Walmart, and I'm going to open me a Walmart store. So I buy the Quest College building, the building that Quest College is in. Would that be a good choice, you think, for Walmart?
No.
That's a 6-story building. Walmarts are usually 1-story spread out. So you don't have to take elevators and escalators and all that mess. You don't have to deal with all that. So it wouldn't be a good choice of building, but it'd be a good location because it's right there on Fredericksburg, a big parking lot around it. All of that works out. It's just the building doesn't fit my needs. The building is thinking of it like a animal protein. And I need instead a human protein. So what I'm going to do is totally demolish that building all the way down to its base units, which are the bricks. And then I'm going to use those same bricks to build my Walmart building in the configuration that I need it to be. So you take in something that doesn't fit your needs, break it down to its smallest unit, and then use those units to create something that does fit your needs. That's digestion. Taking it in, breaking it down to its base unit, and building the new structure out of it. Taking animal proteins down to the base unit and using those amino acids to construct the human proteins that we do need. That's digestion. All right. Now, once it's broken down to that protein level, we do have the bricks now, okay? And we're ready to build a new thing. All of that has to be absorbed now into our bloodstream. Or excuse me, from the bloodstream into our cells, where the cells will construct new proteins out of them. But think about it like sugar. There's a condition out there where people don't absorb sugar into their cells. They take it into their diet, they break it down just fine. But when it goes into the bloodstream, it doesn't get absorbed into their cells. Does anybody know what condition I'm talking about? It starts with a D.
Diabetes.
Diabetes. Their sugar, rather than being absorbed into the cells, stays in the bloodstream. And they end up with high blood sugar. So that's a disease of absorption. The nutrients are there, but their cells are not absorbing the nutrients. So we have to be able to absorb those nutrients into our cells. And the final part of digestion is to eliminate the stuff we don't need. If we go back to that analogy of using the Quest College building and converting it to a Walmart, we would first have to, eventually we would have to eliminate all the stuff in that building that we can't use. Like Walmart doesn't have a whole lot of doors. There are at least a couple hundred doors in that building that we wouldn't be using. So we'd have to get rid of all those. And that's elimination. And breakdown in this part can also cause illness in people or disease. If you have ever heard of Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis, those folks are having problems with elimination. If you've ever been constipated or had diarrhea, problems with your elimination. So a breakdown in any one of these four, if you're not taking in the right foods at the right amounts, if you're not digesting those foods down to their base units, if you are not absorbing those nutrients into your cells, and if you're not eliminating the waste, the system breaks down and you're going to have digestive illness. All right, so anyway, know those four functions: ingestion, digestion, absorption, and elimination. And those four will be on your assessment when we do this one. I haven't published a date yet. I'll let you know. When we do this assessment, you'll be asked a sample test question would be like, which of the following is not one of the functions of the digestive system? You'll see the list and something won't belong there. So ingestion, digestion, absorption, and elimination. There are those word parts repeated for us. Gastro, meaning stomach. Now, up top, we use the term entero, but intestinal also means intestines, and that's kind of an obvious one. And then accessory organs, we're going to be talking about a little bit later as we go, including taking us up to that total of 9 total organs we're going to be discussing today and tomorrow. All right, so gastrointestinal system is another name for the digestive system. All right, and again, important word part for you, gastro meaning stomach. You will see that on your assessment. All right, so we've got to take this stuff in and break it down to its base units. We've got to digest it downward. And there are going to be 2 ways we do that. All of this right now is geared at taking it to its smallest pieces. We haven't gone down to the amino acid level yet. We're taking that protein, that steak that we're eating, and we're breaking it down to the smallest pieces possible. And that's going to be mechanical digestion. Involves chewing and swallowing. Getting it down to the smallest pieces we can with our teeth before we send it down to the stomach. If you're not chewing your food well, then your digestion is not going to be processing well. The larger the pieces are that get to our stomach, the longer it's going to take the stomach to break it down to the smallest pieces we need it to be. So we need to chew our food well so that by the time it gets to our stomach, it's ready to go into the next stage. If not, it's going to sit in the stomach for a while, and it might cause you a little bit of indigestion while it sits there. So chew your food well. And there is an example of a food that people just don't chew. And people ask this question in class all the time, so I'm going to include it in the lesson. Mr. Mahone, how is it that, or why is it that you can see this food in your poop? What food are they talking about?
Corn.
Corn.
Corn. How come you can see corn in your poop? Well, it's simple. Now, if you ask your parents or somebody else who doesn't, really know, they just kind of answer because they want to be dad. And they might say something like, well, because the body doesn't use the nutrients from that. And that's not true. There are a lot of nutrients in corn that our body can use, but we are not allowing the body to use it. You're not chewing your food well enough. If you've ever had popcorn, when the kernel pops, or when the seed pops, and you eat the popcorn, you get this stuff in your teeth, stuck all between your teeth, a little, almost feel like little plastic stuck in between your teeth. That's the coating that's on every kernel. It pops when the kernel pops, but it completely coats the kernel. If you don't pierce that coating with your teeth, then the kernel won't dissolve when it gets down into your stomach. And as a result, will pass right through the digestive tract. And that usually only happens to us when we eat canned corn. Because when you eat corn on the cob, you pierce the kernel just by taking it off the cob. But canned corn, how do you tend to eat that? Put a spoonful in your mouth, chew a couple times, and swallow. That's all those kernels that you didn't chew. And as a result, they go undigested through your digestive system. So our body does process corn if we chew it properly. So again, chewing your food is an important part of digestion. So chew your food properly, right? And get it down to the stomach in the smallest pieces possible. And that's mechanical digestion, chewing it and then swallowing it down to our stomach. The second type of digestion is called chemical digestion. Once it gets down to the stomach, we're going to use acid to break it down into even smaller pieces. So we have to chew it, break it down as far as we can. When it gets down to the stomach, the acid takes over and breaks it down even smaller. Think of it like This is the thing you eat. You swallow it down into, or you chew it down into the smallest pieces possible. Those pieces are then passed down to the stomach, and the acid down there breaks it down into even smaller pieces. But they're still not ready to be used yet because they're still just small pieces. The enzymes that we have will then break them into the base units for us. Even acids can't get them down to this level. We need enzymes to do that for us. And we'll be talking about each of the types of enzymes as we go. So that's what we're doing. Put it in our mouth, chew it, break it down into small pieces, swallow it down into the stomach. The acid takes over into even smaller pieces. Those pieces are then processed by the enzymes, which takes that protein down to amino acids. And these red dots are ready to be put into the bloodstream for us. So we got to get it all the way down to that level. And that is acids, breaking them to the smallest part, and then enzymes go to work on them and break them down to the base unit for us. Right. So know the two types of digestion and what they involve. Mechanical digestion involves chewing and swallowing. Chemical digestion involves the use of enzymes and acids. All of this geared towards getting it all the way down to that base unit, from the protein all the way down to the amino acid that we can put into our bloodstream now. Now, ways to help this process is, if you've ever gone to a place like GNC, you can buy things that have amino acids in them. In other words, they've already been broken down. So in a sense, this can pass the whole chewing acid phase and go right into your intestines to be made available in your bloodstream. So you're taking the amino acids already broken down for you. It's like, so a bodybuilder doesn't have to eat 20 pounds of steak. They take the amino acids already broken down for them. You can also go to GNC and buy things, and other places, and buy things that contain enzymes. Remember, enzymes will break it down to our base unit for us. So when you take additional enzymes, what you're doing is enhancing your body's ability to break things down to their base unit a little bit faster. So that's why people who are bodybuilders or that type of thing will take amino acids instead of eating a lot of proteins. They'll take enzymes that will help them break this stuff down and make it available into their bloodstream for them. All right. Now, the speed at which we do that, the speed at which we take something in our mouth and get it all the way down to the base unit is important for us. Because if we don't process nutrients quickly, over time, they will just be converted to fat and then stored on the body. So if you are processing nutrients at a high rate, what's going to happen to you is this. You're going to eat something. It's going to break down. It's going to go out to your cells. The cells are going to absorb it. And then you're going to get signals saying, I need more nutrients in my blood. And that's going to happen to you very quickly. So these are people who will eat dinner and an hour later just want something to snack on. Their body processed the nutrients just that fast. In, break it down to the bloodstream, pull from the bloodstream, and now the signals in our brain are saying you need more nutrients in your bloodstream because you're pulling them out just that fast. That person has what we call a high what?
Immune system.
Not immune system.
Metabolism. Yeah.
Metabolism.
High metabolism. They're processing those nutrients like pow. And as a result, like I said, an hour later, they're ready to eat something. And by the way, that is why if you have certain types of Chinese cuisine or foods, you're going to be hungry an hour later. Your body will process those nutrients just that quickly. Now, so you have a high metabolism. My wife has a high metabolism. Yeah, and she does exactly that, man. Those nutrients, she's processing bad boys like crazy. And as a result, she is always nibbling on stuff. Babe, we just had dinner. Well, I don't care. I'm hungry again. Yeah, because your metabolism is so high. As a result, though, of processing those nutrients so fast, her body also creates a lot of heat. We'll see why that is here in a little bit when we talk a little bit deeper. So processing a lot of heat. As a result, she's hot all the time. Not hot feeling like hot, but hot to me. Stand next to you, they make you sweat. When somebody's body is really hot like that, then that's the person who's going to feel cold all the time. It's cold. Yeah, because your metabolism is so high. So we process nutrients at a high rate. We will call that high metabolism. Now, if you're processing nutrients at a slower rate, then that's going to cause you to gain weight. Because remember, anything that's not processed within a certain period of time will be converted into fat. Does anybody know how long you should take from the time you eat till the time your stomach is empty? In other words, how long does it take to process those nutrients out of your stomach? Anybody know? I want to guess. Two hours. We also can use that to estimate the time of death in people. And that's why if they find somebody dead and there's no real explanation, first thing they're going to know is if they can find out. Do you know when the last time they ate? Oh, so they ate at 8 o'clock. You know that. Yep, we had dinner at 8 o'clock. All right. That's an essential piece of information. When they do the autopsy, if they still find food in that person's stomach, that means they died before 10 o'clock because it takes 2 hours to process the nutrients. So if you ate at 8, your stomach shouldn't be empty until 10 o'clock. So if there's still food in there, they died before 10 o'clock. So that's one of the things, an essential part of doing an autopsy is checking the stomach contents. They're not looking for poisons in all cases. They're looking for, are there still nutrients in the stomach or not? And if there are, can we figure out the last time they ate? And that will help us to estimate their time of death. So about 2 hours. Now, since processing these nutrients require energy, that's why during that 2 hour period, you're going to feel a little, oh man, I'm full. Yeah. Your body now has to process all of that. It's why snakes usually go to sleep right after they eat. A snake eats a big thing and then boom, will lay there and sleep for 8 hours because of all the energy it takes to process those nutrients. And in a sense, y'all want to do the same thing. Right after you eat, you want to plop down on the couch and fall asleep after having dinner. Okay? So, and when your mama told you, by the way, Don't go swimming until 45 minutes after you eat. That has to do with this process. If your body is using that energy for digestion, and you're at the lake with your family, you have a couple of hot dogs and a bag of chips and a soda, and then you're going to swim out to the buoys, you know, that block off your muscles going to cramp before you get there, because your energy is being used for digestion. And if you start trying to use these muscles, they're going to start to cramp up on you. And that's why people sometimes drown trying to swim right after they eat. And actually, when Mama said 45 minutes, it should be more like 2 hours. 2 hours, but try to keep the kid out the water for 2 hours. You're going to have a battle on your hands. So anyway, that is the metabolism. High metabolism, low metabolism. Now try to explain that to somebody. Read the definition on the screen. The sum of all the body's chemical processes. See, that doesn't clear it up. When somebody says, well, what's metabolism? Well, it's the sum of all the body's chemical processes. What? See, this is one of these concepts that's difficult to explain to people. And there's going to be an in-depth conversation. And that's why my children hate to ask me questions, especially about anatomy. They know I'm an anatomy teacher. But if they have a question, they'll take that to mama. See, my wife's a nurse. They'll take that to their mother, because they know if they come to me, they're going to get a lesson. I'm going to start grabbing a pen and a piece of paper and start drawing like I'm teaching a class. Dad, why can't you just give me the answer? No, I'm a teacher. Can't just do that. Yeah, I've got to teach. So metabolism comes in 2 phases: breaking down of the nutrients and building the new nutrient out of it. So what we're going to do in the first phase is we're going to knock the Quest College building down. We're going to break it apart. Catabolism, to catabolize, or catastrophe. We're going to break it down. Boom. And in the second part, we're going to build the new building. That's anabolism. The 2 phases of metabolism: catabolism and anabolism. To break it down and then to build the new structure out of it. To take the human or the animal protein and break it down to amino acids, catabolism. To take those amino acids and build a human protein out of them, that's anabolism. Know those 2 phases. That's a high miss question on your assessment. The 2 phases of metabolism, and then know which one is which. Catabolism is to break down. Anabolism is to build the new structure out of it. Now, to break this stuff down, we need enzymes. Enzymes are essential here. And this is where they come into place. Remember, we chewed them up. We swallowed it down to the stomach. The acid went to work on it and broke it into smaller pieces. But those smaller pieces still need to be converted then to the amino acids, or broken to that level. And on this slide, you can see the enzyme right here. And up here is the food type. It's called a substrate. This is the thing that needs to be broken to. This is the protein. Now, these are just tiny, tiny pieces of meat now. You've taken that steak into your mouth, you chewed it down, you swallowed it to the stomach, the acid went to work on it, and this is tiny, tiny piece of steak. So tiny that it can be suspended in liquid now, and then put into our to the second part of our digestive tract. In that part, the enzyme then can lock onto it, and it locks on like a puzzle piece. Once locked in place, the enzyme has the ability to split that tiny, tiny food particle. And what you end up over here are the amino acids. So everything up to this point is all about making it as tiny as possible. When it gets down to that smallest level, the enzyme takes over and splits it into the amino acids. Now these are ready to be put into your bloodstream. and your cells can use them to create human proteins out of them. But also notice that the enzyme and the substrate, the food particle, they fit together like a puzzle piece. And if that doesn't match, that piece can't be digested. It can't be broken down. So the enzymes are very important to be maintained in our body because our enzymes can break down over time. And we have to have an enzyme for every food type. For example, do y'all have any idea how many different types of sugars we take in our diet? Dozens of them. Fructose, lactose, galactose, maltose, fructose, the list goes on. Now, we have to have an enzyme for each one of those sugar types because we can't use any of them until they're broken down to their base unit, which we call glucose. So an enzyme for each sugar type. If somebody is missing one of those enzymes, they can process all the other sugars, but just not that one that they're missing. And a good example of that is the enzyme that breaks down lactose. Lactose is a sugar that's found in dairy products, milk and cheese. If you don't have the enzyme that breaks this down, what condition is that going to lead to in you?
Lactose intolerant.
Lactose intolerance. And that's why they are intolerant to lactose. They either don't have this enzyme for lactose or theirs has been damaged. By damaged, I mean that the shape of the enzyme has been changed. And as a result, it no longer locks onto the substrate. How could you change an enzyme? It's real easy. Heat. You get an illness that drives your body temperature way up, you may come out of that and find that you don't tolerate milk very well. Your enzymes have been damaged and they don't lock onto the substrate anymore. So that's what enzymes do for us. They lock onto a specific food type or substrate and break it down to its base units for us. The sugars have to be broken down into the base unit of glucose, amino acids or proteins down into amino acids. Fats have to be broken down into what we call fatty acids. So they all have to go down to their base units, and the enzymes do that for us. We'll mention those base units here a little bit later in the lesson as well. So that's what enzymes do. And if an enzyme becomes damaged, it won't be able to break down that food type for you anymore. And you may find yourself intolerant to it. Does anybody know what happens if somebody with lactose intolerance drinks milk? What will happen to them in their body? Will it kill them? You're lactose intolerant and you drink milk. What's it going to do to you?
It just messes up my stomach. It just really
Somebody
messes
said
up.
restroom. Somebody said
Yeah, diarrhea.
stomach.
Like
Actually, so what does it do?
It's not going to break down.
It's not going
Diarrhea.
to break down. You're not going to be able to digest it. And we call that what? Indigestion. Everything you just mentioned. Upset stomach, diarrhea, gas, bloating, indigestion. You're not going to be able to digest it. So, and my son has lactose intolerance. It's common among African American and Asian people. Then my son is lactose intolerant. So I tell him, son, listen, boy, don't drink no milk, okay? Okay, Dad. He's like 8, 9 years old. So what does he do? I get a call from the school. Timothy is an upset stomach, and did he drink milk? Well, so I get over to the school. I thought I told you not to drink any milk, son. Well, it was chocolate milk. But, you didn't say chocolate milk. I was like, boy. You know what? Just stand there and be bloated then. You didn't say chocolate milk. Anyway, So that is what enzymes do for us. If you're lacking an enzyme and you eat that food stuff, it's going to cause indigestion in you. It will eventually pass all the way through your system unbroken down. And as it passes through, it's going to cause all those things we mentioned. Upset stomach, gas, bloating, and diarrhea, and so on. So anyway, those are enzymes and what they do. Now, as you look at this slide, I don't want you to panic. This is not what you think. We're not going to be naming all these parts in the cells or anything like that. I just want a picture of a cell up there while we talk. And you see what you do need to know from here. Anabolism, the word that means building the new structure. It happens inside the body's cells. So what that means is that this cell in your bloodstream or in your tissues, the nutrients are made available. These are, we'll call them amino acids. We break them down using our enzymes and then put them into the bloodstream for our cells to use. Blood goes to all tissues. So those amino acids get to everywhere, all the way out to your fingertip, all the way to the cells of your brain through the blood. And once they get there, they are absorbed into the cell. And inside this cell, those amino acids are built into human proteins. Once that construction is complete, they're put back out into the bloodstream for use. Does anybody know what we use proteins for? To build new tissues. So that's what's being constructed in here. The cells that are going to create the new tissue that closes that cut that you have. You cut your arm, you need new tissue in there to repair that cut. The amino acids are absorbed into the cells create the new tissue cells, and those are put out, and boom, they start to heal that cut for you. Now, it's not just cuts, but what if you're trying to build muscle? I want to be a bodybuilder. I want this muscle to get bigger. That's going to require new tissue. That's what we use the amino acids for. They're absorbed into the muscle cells, created into the new structure, and boom, you got another muscle cell right there, and then another one, and another one, and another one. The next thing you know, you've got these big muscles going on. Now remember, you stretch a muscle, you're going to have to stretch the skin around it. So new skin cells are being created. All of this stuff to build that muscle size for you. So that's how we're doing that. And you should know from this slide that anabolism happens inside the body's cells. All right. Now I want to take a short break right now because I'm a little worried about somebody not getting in. Georgiana, are you here? On the bottom right of your screen, you can unmute your mic and let me know whether you're here or not. Georgiana, y'all look at your screen and tell me who is number 210-076-0557. 1210.
There's no name on it. It just says the number.
It says a phone number. Who is that? I'll unmute you right now. Go ahead and answer me. Who is 210-762-0557? Is that somebody who's watching on a computer or tablet and using the phone for the audio? Or is that a student right there? Okay, so you see the kind of stuff I'm going through now, trying to figure out who's all in class and who's not. Okay. All right. Well,
Mayhun, I'm in class. Did you see me?
I see you. Yes, I got you. Thank you.
Thank you, baby.
Okay. Let's go ahead and take a break while I try to find out where this student is. Danielle, you here?
Yes, I figured it out. It was too early to be. I thought we were starting early.
Oh, you poor thing, yeah. All right, so I'm looking for Georgiana. Anybody? Okay, let's take a break for 10 minutes and let me call and try to find out where this student is. All right, come back at 10 after 9.
Levon, what are you watching?
How to Get Away with Murder.
Girl, what season are you on?
6. I'm already finna be done.
I know. Girl, it's about to be crazy.
Wait, I'm confused though.
What season you on? On How to Get Away with Murder.
Wait, but on this one, it's like a little flashback. It was when Connor told Oliver that he's the one who chopped up the body. Which body? Because they didn't kill too many people. I don't remember which
Sam.
body.
They're talking about Sam.
Oh,
yeah,
Sam.
Because they all chopped him up.
Wait, but I thought they just burned. I thought they just burned it in the carpet.
No,
they
no.
did, but it's something else going on with that.
Yeah, they chopped him up.
Yeah,
shit,
they
I
did
don't
Bishop
remember that.
gunshot. But it's something going on with that. We not done yet.
Yeah, it's something. It's like so crazy. I can't even tell you because I've already finished.
Wait, did you finish? You just finished the new season already?
I already finished all of it.
Wow, I didn't even realize that they had put this show on here until yesterday. So I just been binge watching that.
Come on, Levon, get on it.
Hey y'all, we only on number 2. It's 6 seasons of that though.
Oh, you're only on season 2?
Yes.
Oh, I'm already on the newest season. I
Wow,
just didn't know that I didn't know it was on here. Okay, I'm gonna shut the fuck up now.
Virtually, never shut the fuck up now.
Hello?
Yes. Yes.
Just making sure if anybody was there. Sorry.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
As my client, you have the power to waive any conflict of interest. I'm filing a waiver with the judge this morning.
Who's making breakfast?
No, you know what? Let me get up and make my ass some breakfast right now so that Mr. Mahone.
I'm trying.
I didn't drop my phone.
Levon, I want to be over there.
What? Girl, look at this fucking. How do you like see yourself? Oh, bam, got that hoe. Damn, you can't even flip the screen? Oh, there it is.
Hello.
Hey.
Hi. He's giving out homework already, right?
Huh?
What?
Is he giving out homework?
He said we're gonna do we're going over chapter 3 right now, but we're gonna do chapter 3 homework, like the pages at the end.
Okay.
Love that for us.
No.
What?
Look at this motherfucking Gatorade. It looks like he ain't got no neck.
Lavon, stop cussing. Oh, doofy girl.
Oh, sorry. Sorry.
We not all saying stuff. I gotta tell you stuff though later.
So sorry. Oh, she got little orange juices.
Mhm. I see.
I just want to say Bonnie is dumb as hell.
She is. She's annoying.
She is so aggy, bro. Like, I just don't even understand.
Her and I didn't like Oliver at the beginning too, but he's cool now.
Yeah, Oliver's cool now. But Bonnie been annoying as hell.
I was just ready to type in the password to my computer at work and all that stuff. Y'all can't see. Anyway, so anybody else? Any other messages here? Let's see. I just reached out to Georgiana. She's logged and is having issues. Georgiana, you here?
Yes, I am.
Okay, got you. All right, just was worried about you.
No, I'm good.
Go up to the top of your screen, and you'll see a bar up there that lets you select participants. Click on that, and your name will be at the you'll be at the very top. It'll show a phone number or your name. Mouse over that until you see the options for more, and you can go into there and rename yourself so I can see your name on screen. All right, so Mary is here, Georgiana's here, Esmeralda, Wendy De Los Santos, Chloe and Rebecca are here. Mercedes, you here? Oh, this over's covering half my screen.
Dahlia is here.
I got Mercedes Esperanza. Destiny is here. Where's Destiny? There you are. Stephanie is here.
Yes, sir.
Danielle is here. Ariana, Brooklyn, Monica is not. Jose is here. Wendy Singleton is here. Right. Yep, there you are. Leonedra is here. Bianca, Bianca, you here? Ramirez, where you at? Bianca, there you are. Amber is here. What about Christy? I see you. Tatiana is here. Yvonne, where you at? I see you on the screen. I'm trying to find you on the list. Yvonne, there you are. Carissa is here. Madeline, you here?
Yes.
All right, got you. Ashley, there's Ashley right there. Mahogany is here and Delia is here. All right. So let me get this done real quick. And the absences are Esparza, and Monica, Marks. Okay, so Mercedes is the only person I'm looking for. Everybody else is here except one that I know about. All right, so good to go. Okay, so let's continue with, where were we? We were right here. All right. Anabolism happens inside the body's cells. That's a high miss question on the assessment, so make sure you get that prominently in your notes somewhere. Asterisk, star, highlight, whatever you need to do to make sure that you study that part. Anabolism happens inside the body's cells. Okay, so let's talk about the three main food types that we need to be ingesting in our diet. And the first one is called sugar. Sugar comes in many different categories, but we can only use one type. The type of sugar that we use is called glucose. Y'all ever heard that term before? That statement up top there, that little equation, know that, live it, love it, it is where we get our energy from. Glucose plus oxygen equals energy. And that's why we need sugar. We use oxygen to burn the sugar molecule, and that creates energy for us. We'll see that a little bit later, but we need to have it prominently so that you remember that. Because later on, I might be asking you in other classes or in other sections, what do we use glucose for? And the answer is energy. That's where we get our energy from. All right, sugar comes in several different forms, as you can see on this slide. A word that we use for sugar is called saccharide. Y'all may have heard that before, especially if you read food labels. Saccharide means sugar. And then we're going to add to that a term that tells us how many sugars are in this one molecule. For example, how many sugars are in a monosaccharide? One sugar. That's the simplest form of sugar. Glucose is a monosaccharide. It's the simplest form. Now, sugars can be more complicated, like you see here, a disaccharide, which is two sugars combined. In order to use those, we have to take them apart. That is metabolism, breaking it down. So two sugars have to be split, and then we have one each. Now we can use them. You see that it can come in the form of oligosaccharide, which is more than two, but less than many. Whenever we're thinking many, we're thinking five or more. Okay. So this is more than two sugars, but less than, say, five or so. However many there are, if there are three of them, we've got to split them apart into 1, 2, 3 before our body can use them. This right here is too complicated a molecule. We can't use that. Split it apart. And what is it that we have that splits these apart for us? Y'all know what we call those? Remember what we call those? We have a complicated structure that needs to be broken down to its base unit. What breaks those down for us? We call them
enzymes.
Enzymes. All right. So we have an enzyme to split that apart, and we end up with 3 sugars instead of this complicated structure. A polysaccharide. This is the most common, or the most complicated form of sugar. You see in here that there are many sugars, up to thousands of sugars. Let's take a look at these formulas real quick. C6H12O6. That's 6 carbon, 6 oxygen, and 6 carbon, 6 oxygen, and 12 hydrogen molecules. Let's take a look at that on the whiteboard for just a second. And let's go with carbon, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hydrogen, 12. And then oxygen, 6. This is what it takes to make a glucose molecule. Now, what happens if you take in a disaccharide? Remember, there are 2 sugars there. So how many carbons are going to be here? 12. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. What about hydrogen or oxygen? There'll be 12 of these. And then for the hydrogen, be 24 of these. So what do we do when we digest this molecule? Split it. So that we have 6, 12, and 6. And now we can make another one, 6, 12, and 6. See how we've made 2 glucose molecules out of that disaccharide. There's enough in there to make 2. So that's metabolism for us, taking this one, this big complicated molecule, and breaking it apart into 2 glucose molecules. And you'll see the chemical formula for a disaccharide, C12H24O12. It's exactly double this because there are 2 sugars in here. Look at this formula right here. C1200, H2400, O1200. I'd have to make 1200 O's up there on the whiteboard in order to illustrate this molecule. And then our body has to go through this, through all 1,200 of those C's and break it down into 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, and so on. The 2,400, 12, 12, 12, 12, 12, and split this thing completely apart. How long do you think it would take our body to do that? To break down a sugar this complicated and line up all those O's, all those H's, and so on, and split them up into individual glucose molecules. That could take a long time. And anything that takes longer than 2 hours will be converted to fat. So polysaccharides almost always contribute to fat buildup because they take so long to break down. I would literally have to go on the whiteboard and write out all 1,200 of those C's, and then go along with my marker and go 6 and 6 and 6 and 6 and 6. Your body's doing that, and it takes a long time to do. As a result, complicated sugars almost always contribute to fat buildup. Now, y'all see the other term there for polysaccharide. It's called carbohydrate. Y'all ever heard of that before? And you've often heard people say that you should avoid carbohydrates in your diet. Okay, and I'm noticing right now that it is almost exclusively the students from the last module who have their video turned off. I need y'all to turn your video on. I know you got in the habit. All my new students are video on, and I'm seeing everybody just fine. It's the older students. Break that habit, guys. Getting the video on, unless you've talked to me already, or I know why your video's on. All right,
I'm
so
driving, Mr. Mahone. I'm sorry.
okay, that's okay. No, you don't have to apologize. I just like to see your face. You're so pretty. All right, so anyway, Jose, you're handsome. I didn't mean to say you were pretty. I just forgot I got a guy in the class. Yeah.
All right, is it okay if I eat?
Yes, I got a handsome guy and all my pretty girls. Okay, yes, you can eat. So anyway, monosaccharides are 1 sugar, disaccharides are 2, oligosaccharide is many, and then polysaccharide is boom. I mean, all these sugars combined together. It's going to take a long time for us to break those down. Does anybody know the most fattening food in America?
Anything with grease, huh?
Anybody? The most fattening food in America. Somebody said grease. Okay.
Bacon.
What? Bacon?
Tacos.
All right. Don't try to come between me and my bacon. I ain't playing with y'all.
Yeah, mine either.
What else?
I love
Yeah.
bacon.
Yeah. All right.
I don't know. I just think anything with grease.
Okay. All right. Here's your mistake.
Tacos.
What'd you say, Jose?
Tacos.
Tacos. What about them?
Tortillas.
Because the
Tortillas.
tortillas.
Yes.
When I say the most fattening food in America, people automatically think about American food. The most fattening food in America is tortillas. Flour tortillas. Flour tortillas. Not corn. But I don't like corn tortillas. I like my flour tortillas, man. And y'all know I'm not Hispanic or whatever. I'm not Hispanic. I didn't eat tacos till I came to San Antonio, and now I'm just hooked. Okay, but don't get me wrong though. Too, I like to have like pancakes every now and then. Every time you say, "Hey, y'all, let's do breakfast at work or something." Hey, let's do breakfast. Okay, breakfast tacos. No, let's have some pancakes for a change, or an egg McMuffin. I like to change it up every now and then. But I do love my breakfast tacos. Y'all don't mess with me. All right. Anybody ever been to Rolando's over on Military?
Yes, that's my favorite spot.
Oh, yeah.
The super taco, y'all, that thing is this big. I'm not exaggerating.
OMG.
That thing is
And we top it off with a big red.
And what I usually do is cut it in half and have half for lunch and then have the other half for dinner. That thing is huge, y'all. If you haven't done it, go to Rolando's. It's right off of Military. It's not on Military. It's right off of Military.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard to find. But one of the little places just kind of sits in the back. Get over there and check those tacos out. Those things.
They got another one on Hildebrand.
Yeah, I tried that one, but it wasn't the same. The way they prepare the tacos wasn't the same. Just didn't work for me. I was driving on Hildebrand. I go, oh, Rolando's. I whipped in there, boy, got me. I was like, these aren't the same thing. So I might even go over there when we finish class, now that I'm thinking about it. So anyway, polysaccharides. And then since tortillas are almost all carbohydrates, they will contribute to fat buildup. Now, in the military, anybody been in the military before? Every meal will contain potatoes in some way. In the morning, hash browns. At lunch, French fries. And at dinner, mashed potatoes. Because potatoes are carbohydrate, very high in those. And as a result, it builds mass in the military members. You take the little scrawny 140-pound guy like me when I joined the service, and it built us up. By the time I finished basic training, I was up to 160. And we can't have a bunch of skinny military people out there like, "Ooh, I'm gonna beat you up." No, you're not. Look at you. You better go get some body weight before you talk about beating somebody up. So basic training is partially about building, body mass in our military members. So we're going to have potatoes at almost every meal because they're high in carbohydrates. All right, so polysaccharides are the carbohydrates. Now take a look at this next slide and look for a pattern in here. These are enzymes and sugars. The pattern should start to jump out at you. The sugar is called lactose. The enzyme is lactase. So it's really easy to see which enzyme breaks down which sugar because the names are almost identical. And take a look at this one. This sugar is called cellulose. There is no enzyme across from it. Cellulose is plant sugar, and we don't have enzymes to break those down. So humans cannot use cellulase because we don't have cellulose. Now that's a sample test question. Since humans do not have cellulase, what sugar can they not break down? Cellulose. Making that connection between the ASE and the OSE. Once again, since humans do not have cellulose or cellulase, we cannot digest cellulose, plant sugar. And that's why cows and horses can live on oats and grains, and we can't. There are sugar in those oats, but we don't have the enzyme to break that sugar apart for us. So we can't live on those type of things. Now, I just had my bowl of oatmeal, which gave me no nutrients because we can't break down the sugar in oats. But oatmeal helps in our digestion and our evacuation, gives us fiber. So know that connection between the sugar and the enzyme. OSE is the sugar, ASE is the enzyme. So let me test you real quick. What sugar does this enzyme break down for us? Or excuse me. The enzyme is called amylase. What sugar does it break down?
Amylose.
Amylose. So there you go. There's the connection. Amylase, amylose. This is the sugar. This is the enzyme that breaks it down for us. All right, so remember that connection. Now, why do we break down sugar? Why do we need sugar in the first place? So the sugar molecule is very unstable. If you look into this chemical formula, this is an unstable molecule, which means that it starts to break down by itself if we don't convert it before we store it. So we can't store sugar in this form because it'll break down if we do. Now, if you take an extra O2, and I'm not sure where it connects, but in here somewhere, an extra O2 will attach to this molecule. And when it does, the molecule starts to completely break down. As it breaks down and splits apart, that creates energy for us. So the goal is to have enough of this molecule in us that when we breathe in the oxygen, the oxygen attaches to these molecules and starts to break them down, creating energy for us. So that's why we need oxygen. Once it attaches to the glucose molecule, the molecule becomes unstable and starts to break apart. As it breaks apart, it creates these four things. And that's what this equation means. This is glucose, 6,6H12O6, plus the oxygen molecule. You add an extra O2 molecule to this, and it becomes unstable and starts to break apart. As it breaks apart, it's going to create for us water, and we use that water in body processes. Anytime you take something and heat it up or cool it down, it's going to create condensation. So just heating up the molecule creates condensation in our bodies. If you want to see this well, take out a cold bottle of water and put it in your car when you're driving to work in the morning on a hot day. When you lift that thing up, water's going to be running off of it. That's all the condensation. So we create water, and burning is going to create heat. That heat will either dissipate, get it off the body, or we'll use it to warm us up. This is why my wife is always hot. She's always processing this stuff at a high rate, creating all this heat in her body. So much so that my wife can't wear watches. You know, a watch battery lasts for years, right? If my wife put on a watch, the battery will be dead in a couple of weeks because of how hot her body is. The same way if you leave your cell phone in a hot car, it might be dead by the time you come out from work. But you leave it in your house and it'll hold the charge for hours and hours and hours. Put it in a hot car, it dissipates, it decharges the battery. So when my wife wears watches, the batteries go dead very fast. Her body heat is that high. It's also going to create carbon dioxide. That's CO2. We use that to maintain acid levels in our body, but excess, we breathe it off. So it's considered the byproduct of glucose metabolism. We breathe off the excess. But the purpose of burning glucose in the first place is this stuff right here. Everything else are byproducts for creating water, heat, carbon dioxide. The purpose of doing it is to create this new molecule right there called adenosine triphosphate. Not important for your pronunciation, but know this list right here and know what doesn't belong there. Sample test question, which of the following is not one of the products of glucose metabolism? And there'll be something in here that doesn't belong, like lipase or something like that. So recognize these four when you see them: water, heat, CO2, and adenosine triphosphate, or ATP. Now I'll bring up the whiteboard again and see how easy it is for me to erase now. Hey. All right, so a molecule of ATP, adenosine triphosphate. How many parts are there to this molecule? Triphosphate.
3.
1, 2, 3. It's a linear molecule with 3 attachments to it, or 3 phosphates attached to it.
Okay.
Now we have an enzyme. Once this molecule is created, remember it's called ATP. Once we create this, we use sugar to burn glucose. This is going to be created. Once we create this, we have an enzyme that locks onto it. Remember, just like a puzzle piece, and splits it apart right there. Pulls off this 3rd phosphate right there. When that splitting happens, it creates a spark of energy. And that spark is everything. Every thought you have, every movement you make are these sparks of energy constantly being created in your body. Yeah. So that's why we use glucose and oxygen. Oxygen attaches to it, splits it apart, makes this molecule right here. The enzyme then splits this molecule to create energy for us, the spark of energy. Now, does anybody know how long after death we can still detect these sparks in the body? Is it a day, a week, a month? Three months. Why is that? Because the breakdown of our cells after death still creates energy. So as your body is decomposing and those cells are breaking down, they're releasing energy when they do. Remember, energy is never used up. It just changes form. So all this energy that we're having right now as we're alive, when we die, that energy dissipates out into whatever. And that's the basis of reincarnation. When you hear about like the Buddhists and things, those folks who believe in reincarnation, your energy just changes form. So this energy can be detected in the human body for up to 3 months after death. So believe it or not, a dead body can be used as a battery. Wouldn't that be cool? We learn a way to harvest that energy as the body breaks down and use it to provide electricity or energy for us. Wouldn't that be cool? They take the dead body, slide it into some type of tube or something, close that off, and they can pull the energy out of it as the body decomposes. Wouldn't that be cool? Maybe, hey, let's go into business. Let's create one. See if we can make money.
Sir, can I use the restroom real quick?
Yeah, sure. You don't have to ask permission to use the restroom. Just, close the door. I mean, turn your screen up a little bit. Now, you know what? Y'all need to have a urinal.
I can't hear you.
You can't? Why not? Check your microphone. Can everybody else hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
I hear you.
I can.
Check. I got it right here. Check your audio settings. And if that doesn't work, if it doesn't work, log out and back in and see if that helps.
It may be her internet reception. Mine was starting to fade in and out there at the very beginning.
So
We're cutting out.
check your audio settings. If that doesn't
I can't
work,
hear you guys.
log out and log back in. And remember, that's the fix for everything, y'all. Turn it off, turn it back on, and see what happens. All right, so try it and see what happens. All right, so the 4 products of glucose metabolism, there they are: water, heat, CO2, and adenosine triphosphate. Know that list, be able to pick out what doesn't belong there. All right. And that's glucose metabolism. The next food type that we need to break down is called proteins. And we already mentioned that the base units for proteins are amino acids. You should know that. The base units for proteins are amino acids. So proteins have to be broken down or catabolized into their base unit amino acids. Those amino acids, as we saw in the illustration earlier, those amino acids are absorbed into the cell, and inside the cell, the new protein is built. The name of this structure is not important, but they exist inside our cells. They're called ribosomes, and their job is to build the new protein. So what we're doing here is in this protein with the red, whites, and blues, all of those have to be stripped apart into reds, whites, and blues. And then all lined up and ready to be constructed into a new structure. So this whole thing, enzymes will get in here and just start splitting this thing apart at every junction. Enzymes are just going crazy on this thing, just pulling all these dots apart Each one of those dots is an amino acid. So all of those have to be stripped apart, lined up, and then used to create the new shape that we need, whatever it may be. So that's protein synthesis, breaking the proteins down from the animal proteins into a human protein, and building a human protein out of it. And the enzyme that's responsible for breaking this all apart is called protease. You see, the pattern continues. A, S, E. Protease is the enzyme that breaks down proteins for us. This is important for you, and so is this right here. Protease is the enzyme that breaks down proteins, and proteins are catabolized down into their base unit, called amino acids. I'm writing a lot, y'all. I'm enjoying this. I like writing on stuff. And by the way, you know how to help build dexterity and writing skills in your children? Paint the walls in their bedroom white and let them write on them. Children love to write on walls. And when you think about it, it's not hurting anything. You can paint over it anytime you want. So my kids used to just write all over their walls, anything they wanted. And when it got too hard to look at, painted the walls, started over again. There's no problem with children writing on walls, as long as they know they can only do it in their room. Okay. So anyway, that's just one of my Mr. Mahomes parenting techniques. Let your kids write on the wall, man. What's it hurting? All right, so anyway, those are protease is the enzyme, and proteins are catabolized down to amino acids. Let me close the door because I know y'all can hear my wife's bird out there. If I can hear it, y'all probably can hear the stupid bird making all that noise. All right, so the next body's food type that's important for us is called fat. Now, fat gets a bad rap, y'all. Oh, yeah, you got to get rid of the fat, get rid of the fat. But actually, fat is important for us, and at a right amount. Remember, anything you're going to have too much of. But fat is used as an alternate energy source for us. When we can't burn sugar, we burn fat in its place. And we can get energy from that burning. But fats have to be catabolized down into fatty acids. And you see the word part for fat is lipo. The actual term is lipose, which is fat. And then what is the enzyme called then? Lipase. The pattern continues. Lipose is the fat, lipase is the enzyme that breaks it down for us. And those both will be part of your assessment. The word part that means fat and the enzyme that breaks down fat. It's lipase. Now, fat is catabolized down into fatty acids. This is important for us. See, fat cannot be transported through our bloodstream in any type of solid form. It has to be in liquid, and that's the fatty acids. Fat tends to, when we try to, if we tried to circulate fat through the bloodstream, what would happen is that solid piece of fat, no matter how small it is, traveling through your blood vessels, will eventually come to the point or to a point where the blood vessel gets smaller. And then what's going to happen?
I get clogged.
It's going to get clogged right there. That's called a fat embolus. Fat has blocked circulation, no circulation to the other side. So we cannot transport solid fat through the bloodstream like that. It has to be converted into fatty acids. So it moves through here in liquid form and gets through our blood vessels, no problem. When it gets to where it's going, that's when it resolidifies. into the stuff we know of as fat. Okay. So it has to be converted to a liquid, transported. When it gets there, boom, it resolidifies into the fat, the stuff that we know of as fat. Okay. So fat has to be catabolized down into its liquid form of fatty acids. And you should know that as well for your assessment. Lipo means fat. Lipase is the enzyme, and the base unit for fats is fatty acids. What do we use fat for? Protection, insulation, alternate energy source. It protects some organs in our body, like our kidneys. It insulates body parts, and it provides alternate energy source for organs like our heart, where the heart has a layer of fat over it that allows it to burn that when it's absent oxygen or glucose, or excuse me, absent glucose. It can burn fat in its place. Now I have this picture here because you can see one of the purposes for fat here. See, one of the organs that we have that's protected by fat is our kidneys. Our kidneys are covered in a layer of fat that help them stay in the position they're supposed to. In this picture, you see this lady has no body fat. And as a result, her kidney is right here. You can actually see it. That's probably why they had her turn that way. The kidney should be right here. Her kidney has dropped out of place. And they're going to call that condition nephroptosis. It's not important for right now, but nephroptosis. The kidneys have dropped out of place because the fat that helped them stay wedged up in here, all around them, that fat is gone. And as a result, the kidney has dropped down. This is why we don't allow, if you've ever watched boxing or MMA, they don't allow kidney punches. Because when people train for those type of sports, they tend to have very low body fat. And as a result, almost all of them have nephroptosis. And if your kidney punch could kill them, could rupture their kidney. Also, when you do see boxers, sometimes they'll wear that black pad around their waist. That's because the doctors diagnosed them with nephroptosis. And that's the only way they're allowed to wear that black pad underneath. You see it sticking just above their shorts in a boxing match. And the only people who are allowed to do that are people who have been diagnosed with low kidneys. Their kidneys have dropped out of place. So that is another purpose of fat, to help keep things, protect things and keep them in the places where they should be. Now, what this lady has is a nervous condition. This is not something we would treat in a doctor's office. This lady is going to be treated in a psychiatry department because that is a psychological disorder. And we'll be talking about those on, we're going to start doing the nervous system on Thursday, I think. All right. So anyway, that's fat and what we use it for. Know these three things. Lipo is fat. Lipase is the enzyme, and fatty acids is the base unit for fats. And that brings us then to the last of the nutrients that we use, is called fiber. Now, fiber has no digestive or no nutrient value for us. There's nothing in fiber that we use. Some foods we might use a part of it. For example, here, orange slices, we'll use the vitamin C from that, but we won't use the fiber that's in there. Fiber doesn't do anything for us nutrient-wise.
Mr. Mahone,
Yes.
I don't know if this pertains to what you're saying, but doesn't fiber make us poop?
What does that say right there?
Oh, I see it.
Hey, there it is. All right, it's there. All right, so anyway, we don't have an enzyme to catabolize cellulose. Remember we said that. Fiber is plant sugar. It contains cellulose. We don't have an enzyme for that. But we do use the fiber. We use it to, it's important for cleaning out our colon and evacuation. Let me illustrate. I can erase faster now. All right, so anyway, if you have, imagine this is your colon, and you need to move feces through here in that direction towards your rectum to evacuate it. All right. Now, the way we move things through here is we squeeze and push, kind of like your toothpaste tube. You know, you start at the bottom, you squeeze stuff towards the opening. In here, the squeezing is happening along the walls right here. Squeezing and pushing that thing in this direction. Now, imagine if the thing that you have to move towards your rectum is that size. How hard are you going to have to squeeze down to move this thing? It's almost impossible. So what does fiber do? Goes through our digestive system unchanged, and whatever's in the colon globs onto it. Now, when you squeeze and push, oh, that thing moves no problem. Okay? All you need to do is sit down and relax, and stuff just starts coming out. Okay? You're very effective in pushing things through. And that's how fiber aids in our evacuation, by allowing us to be able to move this stuff through real easily. If you don't have enough fiber in your diet, what can happen to you is colon, the thing you need to move, rectum's down there. You're going to have to wait for enough of these to build up on top of each other before you can actually move them. So if your feces looks like this, a bunch of balls clumped together, you need more fiber in your diet. Okay. How many of y'all look in the toilet before you flush?
I do.
Just depends.
Almost every middle-aged or older person in the class is going, The rest of young people going, really? Oh, that's so nasty. You better be looking in the toilet to see what's coming out your body, seeing what it looks like, what size it is, what color it is, what it smells like. You better know what's coming out of you. Okay? So be looking in the toilet before you flush.
Wait, the smell?
Yes. What does it smell?
Don't it smell like poop?
Yeah. So yeah, smell your own poop. What's the matter? You can smell your own poop anyway. And I'm not talking about put your face down in the toilet or nothing. Just smell it as it's coming out, man. Is it like really bad, or is it fruity smelling, or whatever? So if feces is looking like this coming out your body, a bunch of clumps together like this, you need more fiber in your diet. Your feces should be nice and smooth on the surface. Yeah. So increase your fiber intake. Now be cautious though, because high fiber will also require high water intake. Otherwise, if you go to high fiber and low water, you're going to end up constipated. So if you're on a high fiber diet, or if you're taking some type of fiber supplement, make sure you're taking plenty of water with that as well. Now, for me, I don't like any of these foods. None of that. I mean, I get bread with my sandwiches. That's about it. Okay. But the rest of this stuff, lettuce and all this is what my wife eats. I eat my oatmeal in the morning because she forces me to, kind of like my mama. You better eat your oatmeal. Da, 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 da. So anyway, I don't like any of these. So as a result, I take my fiber supplements. I have to take a handful of pills every day anyway. Might as well toss some fiber in there, multivitamin, that type of stuff. So that's one of the ways my wife helps to keep me healthy. She tosses fiber in with my pills every day, and then my multivitamins. So if you're going to be on a fiber supplement, again, make sure that you're drinking plenty of water. All right. So those are the 4 food types. Let's do a quick review of those before we move on. They were starting with Glucose. Again, remember that glucose plus oxygen equals energy for us, and we explain that process and how it happens. Be able to tell me, for example, if you see the word disaccharide, how many sugars are in there? Study these first word parts. Mono is 1, di is 2, oligo, and then poly is many. Because the definition of oligo is so abstract or so not clear, I usually don't put this on an assessment. But these other 3 are fair game. 1 sugar, 2 sugars, many sugars. Be able to make the connection between the enzyme and the sugar. And know that cellulose process or cellulase breaks down cellulose. Because we don't have cellulase, we cannot process cellulose or plant sugars, the fibers we just finished talking about. Know this equation, C6H12 plus O6 equals these 4 things, and be able to pick what doesn't belong in this list. Erasing is way easier for me now. I don't have to push any buttons. All right, so that's the glucose. The proteins, you should know that proteins are broken down into by the enzyme protease, and that the base unit for proteins is amino acids. The third food type was called fat. From here, you should know that lipo means fat. Lipase is the enzyme that breaks it down. Oh, I got the pen laying on there, my bad. Lipase is the enzyme that breaks it down, and fats of the base unit for fats is fatty acids. Under fiber, you should know that fiber is important for evacuation and cleaning out our colon. And by the way, it's said that the cultures that have high fiber diets also have less instances of heart disease, Crohn's disease, diverticulitis, and the list goes on. So a high fiber diet is shown to be very healthy for us, for humans. Now, does anybody know the healthiest diet on the planet? It's one place, and it's said to be the healthiest diet on the planet because people from this place routinely live to be over 100 years old. Some of them have made it to, believe it or not, 125 years old.
Is that a Chinese diet?
It's close. It's real close. It's actually off the coast of Japan. From an island called
Philippines? Okinawa.
Okinawa. It's called the Okinawan diet. They eat a lot of fish, bean sprouts, really high fiber diet. And as a result, they routinely live to be old people. And you can order the diet through the mail. You can order the Okinawan diet, and they'll ship you the stuff that they actually eat. But remember, too, if you start that diet when you're 40 years old, these people have been eating like that their entire life. Starting it at 50 years old is probably not going to benefit you. It's kind of like when people say, well, drinking red wine reduces your chance of having a heart disease or a heart attack. And the truth is, those people in Europe have been drinking red wine since they were 12 years old. That's about the age they usually start, is about 12. But they drink coffee at 7, 8, 9, 10 years old. I thought that was so odd, y'all. We're sitting in a restaurant in Greece, and there was a family there, and the little girl was like, couldn't have been older than 8 years old, drinking coffee right along with the parents. It's just something we don't do. So anyway, there's your healthiest planet on the diet, Okinawa, the Okinawan diet. Now, let's talk about then your weight loss programs and why they never work. You poor things. I just cannot lose weight. Okay. Yes, you can. Your process might be flawed. And what do I mean by that? Okay. You decide for New Year's, I'm going to lose weight. You watch. And you go out and you get yourself a treadmill. I got a treadmill. And then you buy all the outfits to go with it. If you're like my wife, you got to buy the workout outfit because you can't just work out in anything. You got to look good while you're working out. So anyway, and there you are on your treadmill. I'm working out. So what you do? Oh, girl, I'm working out. Yep, going to lose this weight. After the first week, you get off the treadmill, you stand on the scale, and the scale says you've lost 3 pounds. It's working. Second week. So what are you doing, girl? I've got to work out. Got to go work out. Now you're on the treadmill. I'm working out. After the second week, you get on the scale. You gain 2 pounds. It's not working. So you stop doing it. And the treadmill becomes a place to hang clothes. Y'all know what I'm talking about, don't you? And after a while, it's in the way. So you move it out to the garage. About a month later, it makes its way into the garage sale. What did you do wrong? Okay. In that first week, you did lose 3 pounds. It was all water weight. Okay. The second week, where it shows you gained 2 pounds, you actually lost 2 pounds of fat, but gained 4 pounds of muscle. When you're trying to lose weight, don't expect, or let me rephrase this, you're not losing weight, you're losing fat. Your weight will actually go up when you're working out because you're building muscle, and muscle is heavier than fat. So you lost 2 pounds of fat, but you gained 2 pounds of muscle, or 4 pounds of muscle, since muscle weighs more. And as a result, it looks like you've gained 2 pounds, which you actually have, but you've lost the body fat. When you're on an exercise program or weight loss program, any dietitian will tell you the first thing you need to do, get rid of the scale. The scale is going to lie to you. Don't judge your progress on your body weight, because your body weight is actually going to go up. Judge your progress on how you feel and how you look. And even though your weight is going up, dress size will be going down, because the weight is shifting from your waist to your thighs. And you're getting healthy calves and thighs, and you're losing weight at the hips. So the fat is going down, but the muscle is going up. Don't let the scale lie to you. Throw the scale out and use another way to judge your progress. Okay? So that's the biggest mistake people make, is that they judge their progress based on their body weight. And that's not going to show, it's going to mislead you. Okay? So,
Sir, what is it? What is it when you can like gain weight?
when you
What is
can't
that?
gain weight, you
Yeah.
You're probably trying the wrong way. Are you trying to build muscle?
I mean, I guess trying to gain like fat, like more meat. I eat and eat. I guess like when I poop, all my fat comes out.
Oh, yeah. Well, work out. I mean, and here's the thing, guys. And what are we talking about? Well, if you say exercise to people, you know what happens to me sometimes when I teach math classes? I go into the classroom, and without introducing myself on the very first day, I just walk up to the whiteboard and I do something like this. Oh, man. Oh, fractions. Oh, I hate fractions. I didn't say anything. I just put this on the board. Maybe I'd be saying we're only going to do half a class today. But as soon as I put half up there, oh, I hate fractions. So what happens to somebody when you say, exercise? Oh, I hate exercise. Oh, who wants to da 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 da? All right. So don't think of it as exercise or don't exercise. When I was over at the state hospital, not as a client, as a therapist, so y'all know, it was not mandatory for the clients to come to group. Group sessions were useful, but they weren't mandatory. So what do you think would happen if I said to my group today, okay, guys, tomorrow we're going to be doing exercises? How many people you think would show up at group the next day?
Like 5.
0. Maybe the one that just has nothing else to do today, but 0 going to show up at the group. So instead, I would say, okay, guys, tomorrow we're going to do activities. And they go, ooh, ooh. And then somebody asks, so what are we doing in group today? Activities. Yeah, we're doing activities. So they come in and they all sit down. Okay, we're ready to do activities. All right. Okay, all right. Everybody stand up. Okay, follow me. And we go out back. Okay, everybody line up right here. All right, now do what I do. And they'll be 5 minutes into it before they realize, wait a minute, this is exercise. Yeah. All right. So what I'm telling you is don't start that major exercise program. To start your more healthy lifestyle, which is what you're leading for, start by becoming more active. Park at the back of the parking lot. Y'all get on my nerves, man. Sitting there waiting for one parking space. Got the whole parking lot backed up because you're waiting for a parking space. Why? Because it's 10 feet closer to the door than that one. It just gets on my nerves, man. Park at the back of the parking lot and walk your butt up to the store. Burn some calories. Take the stairs instead of the elevator. I see you at Quest College all the time, after class, taking the elevator downstairs. Really? You're taking the elevator, you're waiting for the elevator to go down. Get on the freaking steps. Walk your butt down the steps. When you go to the flea market, walk the flea market. Like my wife does. Yeah. I didn't know there was flea market rules. Okay. We're walking down one aisle. I see something over on the other side. I'm trying to cross. Oh, no, 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 no. We don't cross over. What do you mean we don't cross over? We'll see what's over there when we come back. So you got to do each aisle twice. You got to go up this side, turn around, and come back down and see what's on the other side. I say, well, babe, why can't we just walk in the middle and look at both sides? Because we might miss something. Oh, so you're telling me I can't? No, you can't walk over there. Stay with the pattern. Okay, let me just follow the pattern. When my wife walks the flea market, y'all, we walk. By the end of the day, I'm like, and she's like, well, we haven't done this aisle yet. Really? Okay. So be more active. Walk to the corner store or the Walmart if it's in walking distance. Yes, who's got that? You don't have to raise your hand, just ask.
Just before I unmute it,
Okay.
where are the stairs at the school?
Right as you come in, you have to come in one of the side doors, and they will be right along the hallways. Remember, the building's like a T or like a big cross. If you come in the front door, the hallways are on the two side hallways, or the steps are on the two side hallways.
Oh, okay. I want to start taking those then.
And right now, they're using one for up and one for down. It'll tell you on the door which one is which. Okay. So take the stairs, park at the back of the parking lot, walk when you actually do something. When you're walking around Walmart, walk and get a little bit of activity while you're doing it. Exercise. What about sex? Oh, yeah.
Burning calories.
Yeah. Just say, hey, Big Daddy, I need to lose some calories. Come on upstairs. Let me talk to you for a minute. Okay. And burn some calories that way. Do you like to dance? You can go out to the club, or you can do the Zumba or whatever, and and burn some calories that way. So anyway, anything that burns calories. So don't just think exercise, be more active in your life, and you might be able to skip the exercise altogether.
Mr. Mahone,
Yes.
I have a doctor's appointment at 10:45.
All right. Do what you got to do.
Okay, I'll be back on class if
Okay.
it's on time. All right.
If you're going to take your dog for a walk, then there's your activity for that day. So include your exercise into your daily activities, and then you won't have to take that 30 minutes on the treadmill that everybody just hates because it's exercise. What if you go walk your dog for 30 minutes? You're accomplishing something and getting the activity at the same time.
Was it Destiny who said that she was trying to gain weight?
Yes.
Destiny, just look up macros. I owned a gym for 13 years, so.
Macros. Okay, awesome. Thank you so much.
Macros, it really works, and work out while doing it.
Awesome. Thank you.
The latest thing I've seen on TV is the mirror. Have y'all seen that? Now, it just looks so cool. I want one, but I know they cost thousands of dollars. It's like a wall-length mirror that hangs on the wall, but it's actually a video. And then there's the exercise person, and you exercise with them. It just looks so cool. I want one. But I know they cost in the thousands of dollars, so I haven't even looked them up yet. But I'm not an exercise person, y'all. If it comes to getting on the treadmill or sitting down watching TV, I'm watching TV. I'm sorry. But I'm an active person. Always have been.
I know that's right.
I've always been out to just walk. Hey, babe, let's go walk the dog. Let's go walk around the park. When I teach, one day doctor asked me, he said, Mahone, have you been active? I said, yep, doc, I've been active. He said, so what have you been doing? I said, well, I'm a teacher. And he says, well, I said, you haven't seen me teach. You know how many times I'm back and forth across that doggone classroom? Constantly, y'all. My ADD won't let me sit down. It won't let me stop. I'm in constant motion. And that is being active. When my wife and I, we want to do something, let's go walk the mall. Walk the flea market. Hey, take your butt down to Tanger Outlet. By the time you finish, oh yeah, you done burn some calories. Y'all know what I'm talking about? Tanger Outlet is huge, man. And we park at one end, walk the whole outlet, and then have to walk all the way back to the car. Oh, you done burn some calories that day. So I'm not an exercise person, but I burn calories through regular daily activities. So keep that in mind, guys. That's the best way to lose or to burn calories, is to do the stuff you do every day, but with a little more vigor. When you walk, don't stroll. Get it done. All right, so let's take another break. This time, let's come back at 10:25. They give us about 12 minutes. 10:25.
Destiny? Oh, she got off.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
Hey, yeah, look up macros. It really works. I've seen many people. In fact, my daughter did it. Counting your macros, it basically tells you there's a formula for it. You used to have to add it up, but now there's an actual formula that you can just type in your weight, your height, and it'll tell you how many fat grams, how many proteins, how much sugar, everything you should take in a daily. And you're going to be completely surprised about how much protein you're supposed to take in a day. To gain muscle, to gain weight. And I know everybody's wanting to gain weight. My daughter, she was very skinny and she wanted the booty. So it really worked for her. It worked. She gained, the hard part is that you have to gain all this weight.
Yeah.
And then you have to rip down. So you have to work out to rip it down. So, and then you'll get that booty that you probably are looking for.
Thank you so much though for giving me that tip. I'm gonna go ahead and try it out and see how that works out.
You're welcome. No problem.
Thank you.
Lavon, is it raining over there? Lavon. Brooklyn.
What?
Oh, look, there it goes. There goes my camera. Is it raining over there?
Is what?
Is it raining over there?
No.
Oh. Girl, half the side
No.
it's all sunny, no rain, and over here got some clouds and it's raining hard as shit. two different things.
Type. Definitely not. I don't think so. The sky is really clear too.
It smells now. Okay. What episode are you on now?
Oliver just fucking knocked out Asher for being a snitch.
Never mind. Wait to me. Bye.
So where's your apology for turning your back
Can't stand people.
All right, welcome back. Let me turn the heater up a little bit. I'm kind of cold. Okay, so as far as what we ingest in our diet, I hope that everybody understands that we cannot digest human proteins. Does everybody understand that? And you know what that means? You can't eat people. Yeah. The sugar is not a problem, and the fat is not a problem. It's the proteins that's the problem. We can't use human proteins in our diet. But you can eat people, and you can get fat and you can get sugar, but the proteins are going to cause the problem for you. You won't be able to break those down. There's no enzyme for breaking down human proteins. Hey, how about that? Okay, so then I'm going to ask a question, and y'all tell me what y'all think. If you had to, could you eat another person? I mean, had to. It's do it or die. Could you eat another person?
I think I could.
I see some head nods, like, yeah.
Absolutely
I
not.
see some of this going
Yeah,
on.
I don't think I could do it either.
You don't think you could? Okay.
I'll just be malnourished.
You'll just be
I'll
dead,
die.
huh?
I'll die. I
All
can't
right.
do that.
The people who had to face this, soccer team from Uruguay.
I remember that story.
They made a movie called Alive about these folks. These guys right here. They crashed in a plane crash in the Andes Mountains. And there was no chance for a rescue team to get to them it would take weeks for the rescue team to get there. Some of the people died in the crash, so they didn't kill anybody, but they had to decide whether to eat the dead bodies or not. Some of them chose to, and they survived. The ones that chose not to didn't survive. They starved to death. So if you had to, would you? Yeah. I'll be looking at my wife sometimes like, girl, what would I eat? Cook up them thighs. Oh yeah, put them on a spigot, turn them around, you know. But eat muscle. That's what we eat on animals. We don't eat internal organs. Sometimes we eat liver, and that's my wife. She likes her liver and onions. But mostly it's muscles that we're eating. So I'll go for the gluteus or the thigh muscles. Yeah, the butt muscles or the thigh muscles, and just chow down, man. When they find me, I'm gonna actually have gained a couple pounds. And be like, where everybody else at? Oh, I think they went over the hill right there. They was gonna try to walk out or something. So how did you gain 5 pounds? I don't know. A lot of snow. I drank a lot of snow. But the people in the past who have known to have eaten other people, like Ed Gein, supposedly ate dozens of people. This dude right here. This is the guy that they found people like hanging in his barn like you would a deer. When you catch a deer, you hang, or you kill a deer, you hang them up and gut them. They found people hanging in his barn like that.
He looks crazy.
Yeah, he does. They were crazy. Or this guy right here who probably has the record. This dude supposedly ate more than 75 people. Okay. I don't know his name, but he was known as the Black Dolphin cannibal. This dude right here. He lived in Siberia, and his parents taught him to eat folks. They would eat people the same as a deer. If they see a deer running across, they'd shoot the deer and eat it. If they saw a person, they would shoot the person and eat them. So they hunted people just like deer. And when his parents died, he ate them. They finally got this guy, and they put him in the worst prison possible in Siberia, called the Black Dolphin prison. So anyway, he's in there for life. So that's your Black Dolphin cannibal, the guy who supposedly ate more than 75 people in his life. All right. So anyway, if you had to, yeah, life or death, yeah, I'm gonna cook you up. But in the incident with the plane crash,
I mean, if I could cook you, if I can cook you, then of course I'll eat you.
little
But
salt
I'm
and
not
pepper,
just gonna like
little
cut
salt
your
and
skin
pepper,
off and start.
meat tenderizer on
But if
there.
I can cook you, yeah, I'm down to eat you as long as you're not wrong.
All right. But those people that were in the plane crash, they didn't have that option. They couldn't cook, so they had to eat the bodies cold, raw, da da da. So they had like human sushi. Hey, you know what? You got to do what you got to do. Those people that survived are still writing books about it, about their experience. All right. So anyway, those are the foodstuffs that we have to take into our diet to be healthy and da da da. So how do we process those things? Starting at the mouth. And this is where mechanical digestion starts, with the chewing of nutrients. Remember, you've got to chew your food well. I know your mama told you that when you was a kid, to break it down into the smallest pieces possible. If you're putting big chunks of food into your stomach, that's going to cause some indigestion for you. And that's where a lot of heartburn, indigestion comes from. People who are not chewing their food well. Chew it down as small as possible before you swallow it down to the stomach. It's not only going to help your digestion, but it's also going to help you swallowing. Now we have digestion starts at the mouth with our teeth. Teeth isn't the area of our expertise, but I do talk about them just a little bit. Starting with the types of teeth that we have, 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are called our incisor teeth. Then our canines, 1 and 2, and all of these back here are called molars. So we have incisors, canines on each side. That would be the teeth that are longer on dogs and vampires. They're canine teeth. And then the molar teeth along the back, along the sides. These are used for ripping our incisors, cutting, incising, to cut. The canines are used for tearing and ripping, and then the molars are used for grinding. So cutting, tearing, and grinding our food. And that shows that we fall into what category of eaters. There are herbivores, which eat primarily herbs. There are carnivores, which eat primarily meat. And there are omnivores, which eat both.
Carnivores.
We are omnivores.
Are we
We have grinders back here. Grinders are for grains and fruits and so on. Tearing and then cutting is for meat. So we eat both meat and grains, herbivores. That's how they can tell what dinosaurs used to eat. When they look at the long-necked dinosaurs, all they find in their mouth is molars. They have no canines and no incisors. So they were plant eaters. When you look in the mouth of T-Rex, they have no molars. They're all canines and incisors. They ate strictly meat. So that's how we can tell what an animal eats based on their teeth, the type of teeth they have in their mouth. And this is also a sign of evolution. Either we are not designed to live in a garden, or our teeth change after we got kicked out of the garden. Either way, it shows that we have evolved. If we were created as herbivores to live in a garden, then where did these teeth come from? So either we weren't designed to live in a garden, or these teeth evolved after we left the garden. Either way, it shows signs that our body changes to fit our environment. That's evolution. And by the way, the other sign of evolution is that our mouth is getting smaller over the generations. Because most people, how many of y'all still have your wisdom teeth? About half the people in our population have to have their wisdom teeth removed because our mouth is getting smaller. Why is our mouth getting smaller? Any ideas? And I don't mean yours, I mean over generations. Why is our mouth getting smaller? Because we don't bite our food as much as we used to. You know what I mean by bite? Cra, cra, cra. What do we do today? Knife and fork. We cut our food into smaller pieces. And as a result, we're not open our mouth wide as we used to, and the mouth is actually getting smaller. It won't hold all the teeth that our ancestors had. And many people have to have their wisdom teeth removed because our mouth is getting smaller, which is also a sign of that we are evolving. So when people say evolution is not a real thing, or there's no evidence of evolution, they don't know where to look. Evolution is obvious all throughout the body, and we'll show more examples of that because we do talk about so many organs in this system. We'll see more examples of how the body is evolving over time. All right, so another thing associated with our eating is our ability to taste the food that we eat. Taste is very important for us. Well, it's not the most important of our senses, but it is an important sense for us. And it's the only sense that we have that is not designed strictly for, that is designed strictly for pleasure. Our other senses are protective senses. Our taste of sense, our sense of taste is primarily designed at pleasure. And remember that everything we need to do to survive is pleasurable to us. To reproduce is pleasurable. To eat is pleasurable. It feels good. So those stuff we need to do to perpetuate the human species always feels good to us. So eating is one of those things. Now our taste buds, I don't test on these, but I do mention that in our mouth, taste buds are located everywhere in the mouth, but they're more highly concentrated on our tongue. And they're in certain areas of the tongue. Like at the tip of our tongue, we find those taste buds for sweet. And that's why we tend to sample things that are sweet with the tip of our tongue, like ice cream. Along the center of the tongue down here is salty. My wife made some popcorn last night. She bought this little popcorn popper that looks like, you know, the ones that look like the little cart. You know, and she made popcorn last night, and she just put way too much salt on that stuff. Okay, over here on the very back is bitter. When I was a kid, they didn't have daycare back then. I'm talking about the 1960s. There was no daycare back then. So we all went to my grandmama's house when we got out of school. So much so that everybody put down my grandmama's address as our address of record so that we could all go to the same school. My grandparents had 15 kids, and there were hundreds of cousins. And we all went to the same grade school and high school so that we could go to the big house, my grandparents' house, after school. And they kind of looked after us until all the parents showed up and picked you up. But on Fridays, my grandmama would line everybody up. Y'all babies, come on, line up, from oldest all the way down to smallest. And what she's doing is lining us up because she had this big old bottle of castor oil, and everybody got a spoonful. And all from the same spoon, too. So your cousin go ahead of you, boom. Okay, come on, boom, and just feeding everybody with the same spoon. Show you what things were like back then. But anyway, everybody got out. When you got your dose, you walked away like, everybody trying to push that bitterness off the back of your tongue. Castor oil is very bitter. And they did that for, you know, helped us children with evacuation. Like we needed it. Old people need it. Young people don't need help with their evacuation. I'm sorry. But anyway, so bitter is at the very back. And on the sides, y'all going to know these. Is sour on both sides. I'm getting pretty good at writing with this pen. sour on both sides. And that's why if you put something really sour in your mouth, where do you feel it at? Right there. Ooh, yeah, well, take it out your cheek, man. That's not the place to put it. Something sour you want to put right in the middle of your tongue right here. Don't stick that thing over here in your cheek. It'll be right next to the sour taste buds, and that'll give you the, that's sour. Yeah. So those are our taste buds, sweet, salty, sour, and bitter. Remember, you have taste buds all throughout the mouth, but they're more concentrated on your tongue. A couple of word parts you're going to need to take away from this list over here. I went on and typed them out on a separate slide so that you can see them. Bucco means cheek, and linguo and glosso both mean tongue. These words are important to us because sometimes when we administer medication, you'll get the instruction from the doctor to administer this medication buccally, to put it in their cheek and let it absorb. Everybody watch First 48? The guy goes, oh yeah, we're going to do a buccal swab. We're going to do this a buccal swab. We're going to swab the inside of their cheek. So buccally, to apply the medication into their cheek and let it absorb. That's how you give medication to somebody who's in a diabetic emergency. You take the glucose and you wipe it into their cheek and let it absorb. It absorbs very quickly. You administer the medication buccally into the cheek. Linguo and glosso both mean tongue, like in the term sublinguo, below the tongue, or glossophobia, the fear of using your tongue, the fear of public speaking. So glosso and linguo both mean tongue. If you are a linguist, you're a person who studies languages or tongues. The old word for language was tongue. What tongue do you speak? So if you're a linguist, you study tongues or languages of people. My son got into the Air Force and he applied for, or he was eligible for a job called Airborne Cryptologic Linguist. He was going to study languages or hidden meanings in languages. But he got out of service, decided he didn't want to do that. So bucco, linguo, and glosso, all three will be important for your assessment. Bucco meaning cheek, lingual and glosso both meaning tongue. All right. Did the names of the teeth already. So let's look at an individual tooth. And again, not important for us in our practice, but for our own understanding. The tooth has this part up here called the enamel. And if you, for example, you have a lot of sugar in your diet, you drink a lot of Kool-Aid, you eat a lot of candy or other things, you may cause this enamel to start to wear away a little bit. And the dentist will call that dental caries. We call them cavities. The dentist will call them caries. You have a caries right there. A part of the enamel that's worn away right there. Now, this thing is going to hurt when you bite down on it. When you put pressure on this tooth, you're going to get some, ooh, that hurts. Ooh, I better go see the dentist. Okay. Now, if that continues and it makes its way through the enamel into the dentin layer right there, that cavity is going to hurt whenever you drink cold water, whenever you breathe in cold air. Ooh, yeah, it's getting worse. And whenever you bite down on it. So you got that one that hurts when you bite down. Oh man, I better get to the dentist. A couple days later, yeah, it's getting down in there. If that bad boy gets all the way down here into the pulp layer, that's the one that's going to hurt all the time. It'll be throbbing, boom, 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 and the pain will not go away because you've exposed these nerves down here to the air. Now, that will never stop hurting. You hear me? It will never stop hurting. even when they go in and fill all this in, that tooth will still hurt. Once these nerves are exposed, that's it. So that's when they're going to do what's called a root canal. They're going to go in here and take all these nerve roots out.
That's when they cap your tooth, right, Mr. Mahone?
Yeah, after root canal. But
like with a fake one?
Yeah, back in the day, they would just pull this tooth. But today they have the procedure of root canal, where they drill down, pull the nerve roots out, and then repair the tooth. However, now you have another problem. Now your problem is that you can't feel this tooth once the nerve roots are taken out. So a tooth that has a root canal on it is going to be numb from now on. You won't be able to feel it. So if that process starts again, you won't feel it happening. It won't hurt. You might be able to feel it with your tongue. You might feel a hole in your tooth or something like that, but it's not going to hurt anymore. And the issue there is that now, let's say you start to develop a cavity here on the side of the tooth, where cavities are more common. And this part right here gets eroded away. You're not going to feel it. It's not going to hurt. So now you bite down on this tooth and crack. That part right there breaks off, leaving a sharp edge. You bite down on something else, crack. And before you know it, you've got just this little piece of tooth hanging over there. Because all the rest has been cracked off. That's what can happen when you have a root canal. So it's very important that you take care of teeth that have had root canals on them.
Your fake teeth can break off?
Yes.
Because I have a fake tooth. I got a root canal. You're telling me it could break?
Yeah.
Oh no.
I know, poor thing, yeah. But you won't feel this happening to you. So sometimes we get people come in and all they have is just this little piece of cracked tooth left on there. Everything else is down below the gum line. And all they have is this thing hanging right there. That was a tooth that had a root canal on it, and they didn't feel this all breaking off in there. All right, so that's where we need to be cautious whenever we do have a root canal on a tooth. Another issue is that if you've ever been to the dentist and the dentist is examining your teeth and they're calling out numbers. Number 1, 3, number 2, 2, number 3, and so on. So what they're saying is the number of the tooth. I think it starts up here and they are on the left side or right side. And they count around like this and then down and back the other way. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, however they do that. So they're saying the number of the tooth is the first number, number 3. And then they're telling you a second number. Number 3 is 2. What are they saying? What's that second number means? The dentist is taking a probe and they're sticking it down between the tooth and the gum line. And they're saying how far down in there in centimeters they can actually get that probe to go down in there. What that's indicating to them is that your gum is pulling away from the tooth like that. And they're getting the probe further and further down in there. What causes that to happen is when you build plaque inside the gum line like that. It pushes the tooth or the gum away from the tooth. And the dentist can now stick the probe way down in there. The further they go, the worse your, I know I shouldn't have wrote that there, the worse your gingivitis. Okay. Let's try it down here. Gingivitis. Yeah. Now, if this continues, this tooth is going to start to get loose in there and it's going to move. And eventually it can come out. So that is what they're doing when they are assessing the health of your gums. They're sticking a probe down in there to see how far they can go. In the front teeth, 1s and 2s. 1, 2, 2, 2. At the back teeth, 2s and 3s. If they're saying 4s and 5s, your gums are being pushed out like that. 6s and 7s, this tooth is getting loose in there. One day I was in having my teeth done, and it was back when they just had the little cubicle, and you could hear the dentist talking in the next cubicle, da 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 da. And while they were doing my thing, I could hear them next door, 6 and 7s and 8s. I'm like, really? This person is going to need a gingivectomy, where they go in and they cut off the gums, like right across here, for example. They just cut that pretty completely off. And then they clean the tooth right there, and then let the gums grow back. That's a gingivectomy. My wife had to have that around a couple teeth back in the day, but you should see her brushing her teeth today. It's like she's trying to brush them away. Like, yeah, you don't want another one of them gingivectomies, do you? Yeah. So it's like she's trying to wear them out, man. So anyway, that is what the dentist is doing up in their world. We usually don't get involved in that type of stuff, but for our own knowledge. Why is that over there? All right, so anyway, right there. All right, so in the mouth as well as our tongue and our teeth, we're going to chew it up smaller. We're going to use the tongue to taste it and then push it back towards the back of our throat so we can swallow it. Now, we also have to lubricate the food slightly, and that's what our salivary glands are for. They produce saliva, and saliva actually moistens the food and aids in swallowing, but it also does something else. Saliva contains this stuff right here. Now, based on its name, what do you think that is right there? Look at the name. What do you think that is? Amylase. What is it?
Is that your chin?
It's an enzyme, ASE. Remember we said that pattern continues. Amylase is an enzyme. And what sugar does it break down? Amylase breaks down amylose. Amylose is another name for starch. And starch is the most common carbohydrate. When we talked about how long it takes to break down carbohydrates, so the breakdown is going to start as soon as you put the thing in your mouth. And then in the second part of our digestive system, you're going to get another dose of amylase to continue the breakdown. That's how long it takes to break this stuff down. We get one dose as soon as we put it in our mouth. We get another dose halfway through, coming from an organ called the pancreas. So we have two types of amylase, salivary amylase and pancreatic amylase. To continue the breakdown of the starch as it moves through our system. It takes a long time to break down. All right, so that's what amylase does for us. Now, that's why you can't hold food that are primarily starch. You can't just hold them in your mouth. What would happen if you put a potato chip in your mouth and just tried to hold it there? What's going to happen? It's going to dissolve.
Start breaking down.
Because potato chips are almost all starch. And amylase breaks them down as soon as you put them in your mouth. So that's why you can't hold potato chip in your mouth, because our saliva contains amylase, which breaks it down right away. All right, so that is our salivary glands, 3 categories, 1, 2, and 3. I don't test you on those. I don't know why they're in red. I don't ask any questions about these, but we do have 3 sets of salivary glands. Now, they tend to turn off while we sleep at night in most people, and that's why you don't drool on the pillow while you sleep, and also why you wake up in the morning with your mouth is all dry and pasty. You haven't been producing any saliva while you sleep. All right. Now, one of these that really causes a problem for us sometimes is this big one right here. The parotid salivary glands are located right at the angle of the jaw. And the reason they cause problems for us is sometimes we get an infection in there called infectious parotitis. Itis means infection. So this is infection of the parotid salivary glands. This condition is actually referred to as being mumps. So that's where the mumps happens in your parotid salivary glands. And that's why people swell up on the side of their face like that when they have the mumps. If you've ever seen somebody with it, we call it the chipmunk look, because their face swells up right there at the parotid salivary glands. So that is our salivary glands. And the fact that we break down starches with amylase at the salivary glands and also at our pancreas. And there's that for you. Amylase breaks down amylose, which is starch. Amylase breaks down amylose, which is also known as starch. Now, I don't know why this word is here, but I'll go on and cover it now. Dysphagia. Phagio means to eat, bite, chew, or swallow. This word originates from Greek, and the Greeks only had one word for anything they did with their mouth. It was all phagio. So whether you're eating it, biting it, chewing it, or swallowing it, it all is phagio. So dysphagia can mean difficulty eating, difficulty chewing, difficulty swallowing, or difficulty biting. In this context, it actually means difficulty swallowing, dysphagia, difficulty swallowing. You might see that in somebody who's had a stroke, multiple sclerosis, or anything that involves muscle function, because it requires muscles to swallow. Those kids with muscular dystrophy may also have dysphagia, difficulty swallowing. Now, probably the dumbest advertisement I've ever seen is a truck on Fredericksburg. As I'm going to work, I look right next to me. There's a truck right there. And on the side, it says San Antonio Dysphagia Clinic. Who the hell knows what that means? But that's how they advertise their clinic. 9 people out of 10 are not going to know what dysphagia is. And you know what? I take it back. That's not the dumbest I've ever seen. The dumbest advertisement I've ever seen was a white car with a phone number on the side. That's it. The phone number stenciled in black. Just a phone number, nothing else. Probably the best advertisement I've ever seen is, I don't know if y'all have seen it. It's a black SUV, Ford. It's painted just like a police car, but it's for a ticket dismissal lawyer dude. So he's got a car that looks just like a police car. But when you read it, it says ticket dismissal, da, da, da. But it's in the same colors and everything as a police car. So when I saw it the first time I drove by and hit the brakes, like, ooh, ooh, ooh. Oh, that's not a police car. But it made you look over there and read the thing. That's the best advertisement I've ever seen. So anyway, phagio means to, in this case, to swallow. So dysphagia is difficulty swallowing. All right. It's a little bit longer to erase on these PowerPoints, but that's okay. It's better than what it was. All right. So let's go from the teeth then, and let's start talking about the pharynx, the throat. The pharynx comes in 3 main parts. You can get them down: nasal, oral, and laryngeal. Nasal means nose. Oral means mouth. And laryngeal means So the three divisions are the nasal part, the mouth part, and the throat part. Nasopharynx, oropharynx, laryngopharynx. Three main parts. Nose, mouth, and throat. Now I'll bring the picture up big while we talk for a second and point those out. Nasopharynx, oropharynx, laryngopharynx. Now, when you eat something, I want y'all to pay attention on this picture to the size of the tongue. The tongue is actually huge. It takes up our entire lower jaw. But we only see that part that people stick out. But the tongue is all under here. It's thick in there. And the tongue is a muscle. And if you go unconscious, the tongue will relax just like any other muscle. And that's why we don't want to necessarily lay an unconscious person, oh doggone it, on their back. So let's imagine this person is unconscious. You see how thick the tongue is? And if that muscle relaxes because they're unconscious, gravity pulls it back like this. And you see what happens? Blocks off their airway. So this is what they're saying when they say that somebody has swallowed their tongue. Look how big that thing is. You can't swallow that. So what happens is it blocks off their airway back here. And now this person can't get any air down into their lungs that way. Because
So I have a question.
Yes.
Is that the same thing that happens when people have like not sleep apnea, but like they relax and then they stop breathing?
No, that's more often caused by a set of tonsils called our adenoids. The adenoids are right up here. So what happens to them is that the adenoids swell up while they're sleeping, and it blocks the airway breathing through their nose primarily. Yes, they do stop breathing while they're asleep. They have sleep apnea. But it could be this or this structure right here called the soft palate. Either way, they're not getting air into their airway. It's usually not their tongue because they're not unconscious. Remember, our muscles only relax like that when we are unconscious. That's why it doesn't happen to you when you lay down on your back for sleep, because you're not unconscious. Okay, so the other thing we want to, does anybody learn CPR, by the way? All right. In CPR, you might remember that step with the unconscious person to take their head and tilt it backwards. When you do that, it lifts the tongue up so that they can get air through there. And that's how important that step is, by the way. You really need to get that head back so that their tongue gets shifted up and they can breathe from behind back there. Now, we do have mechanisms that prevent the stuff we're eating and swallowing from going up into our nose like that. And that's one of our protective swallowing mechanisms. When I bring the picture down low, you'll be able to see that typed in there for you. Protective swallowing mechanisms. Now, what that does is when I eat something, I chew it up, I go to swallow it. During swallowing, this flap right here lifts upward like that. And it blocks off the nasal passage so that this stuff has only one direction to go, down. That's called your soft palate. And you'll see the spelling again on the slide. If you put your tongue against the roof of your mouth and slide it backwards, when you get back there, eventually you're going to hit a part that's soft. That's your soft palate back there. And it raises up whenever you go through that swallowing motion. So when you do this, the soft palate lifts, but only while you're doing that motion. Once it's finished, The soft palate comes back down again. So what happens then when you swallow something and get it down to about there? The soft palate lifted up while you were swallowing, and then your little brother does something stupid at the table, and you start laughing, and this thing starts to come back up. The soft palate is back in its resting position again. That thing will move right into your nose. And that's how kids sometimes spit milk out their nose when they're laughing or something. They get it all a little bit down, and then something, and it comes up out their nose. The soft palate is not designed to protect something coming back the other way. Only things going in one direction. So that's your soft palate, the first of your protective swallowing mechanisms. Now check this out. Once it reaches the oral pharynx or the laryngopharynx back here, this separates into two tubes, one going down to your lungs and the other one going to your stomach. What keeps it from going, the stuff you just swallowed, the food, from going here into your lungs? This little flap right here. It serves like a trap door. If you put your hand on the front of your neck right here and swallow, you can feel the structures in there move up. Where you're putting your hand is right here. And when this part moves up, it pushes on the base of this part that swings it down and closes off the airway, so the stuff you're swallowing has no direction to go except to your stomach. It can't go into your airway because the trap door is down and closed. And it's only closed while this part of the neck is up. So as soon as it goes back down again, this part opens up again and you can breathe through there. So that trap door right there is called your epiglottis. And again, you'll see the spelling on the slide in a minute. So our two protective swallowing mechanisms are the soft palate and the epiglottis. Both of them serving as trap doors to keep the food and water going into your stomach, not into your nose or into your lungs, but only where it needs to go, down to your stomach. Okay. Now, back in the day, they had it was common to make candy for children like this. There's a big old chunk of candy, little kid. Go ahead and eat that. Now, this is hard candy. This is not chocolate. This is candy like Jolly Ranchers. It's hard candy in this big round ball like that. So what do you think were happening with children when they eat this candy? Kids were choking on it. So one candy manufacturer decided, you know what? I'm going to be a little more socially responsible. Instead of making big chunks of candy like this, I'm going to make my candy flat like that. It's still round, but it's like a coin instead of like a big ball of candy. And if it gets stuck in their airway, they'll still be able to breathe past it. You see that a big ball right there? You're not going to let that? This is, they can still breathe past the candy, and kids won't choke. They can, breathe. Well, wait a minute, Mr. Candyman. What happens if that candy, your little flat candy, gets stuck in there like that? They're not going to be able to breathe then. Oh, yeah, they will. Because in my round candy that's flat like a coin, I'm going to put a hole in the middle. And that way, they can breathe through that hole, even if it gets stuck sideways. And what did they call their candy?
Lifesavers.
Lifesavers.
Lifesavers. And that's why Lifesavers is made like that. A round candy with a hole in the middle. Either way it gets stuck, the kid will be able to breathe past it. All right. I don't know that it ever saved anybody's life, but that's why it has that name, Lifesavers, and why it's designed like that. That's way too much History Channel, y'all, by the way. I do like the History Channel. So anyway, that is our protective swallowing mechanisms, the epiglottis and our soft palate. They prevent food from entering our nose and our lungs. So you need to have that in your notes. The two protective swallowing mechanisms are the soft palate and the epiglottis. The two protective swallowing mechanisms are the soft palate and the epiglottis. And this will be one of those questions where there are two correct answers. Which of the following are protective swallowing mechanisms? Epiglottis and soft palate will both be there. Check them both. The two protective swallowing mechanisms. All right. So once we swallowed that stuff and now is moving down the correct tube, the soft palate and epiglottis work the way they were supposed to. So that stuff is headed down to our stomach through a tube that leads to the stomach called your esophagus. I want you to have it in your notes. It's not on the slide, but have it in your notes this way. The tube that leads from the mouth to the stomach, the esophagus. To break it down, eso means to isolate, phageo means to swallow. So the word literally means to isolate and swallow. Isolate it from the nose and the lungs and swallow it down to your stomach, the esophagus. Now, how does food get through the esophagus and move down to our stomach? Through this process right here. It's called peristalsis. Peri means around, stalsis means to squeeze. So peristalsis means to circular squeezing and pushing it down towards our stomach. Define it in your notes as rhythmic contraction of the muscles of the esophagus. So they're contracting like this, like a wave that's pushing stuff down towards your stomach for you. Sometimes you eat something or swallow something that's too big, you didn't chew it well enough, it gets stuck in your throat. And you go, oh man, ooh, ooh, and you use some water to wash it down. But peristalsis should be effective enough that anything we get in our esophagus, squeeze it and push it down towards the stomach for us. Have it in your nose as rhythmic contraction of the muscles of the esophagus. Peristalsis. And know that the esophagus is, and I'm going to go and put it in here. The tube that leads from the mouth to the stomach. The tube that leads from the mouth to the stomach, the esophagus. Peristalsis. Oh, pin on there. Okay, let's take another 10-minute break, just because I really have to take a potty break. So let's take. Y'all see me swinging back and forth in the chair, like looking at the clock, like, oh man, am I gonna make it? Am I gonna make it? No, I'm not gonna make it. Let's take another 10-minute break. Come back at 11:25. All right, welcome back, everybody. Good to see y'all again. Hey. All right, so we are going to change it up a little bit here. We're going to go from the PowerPoint, and I want to show you what you will need to do tomorrow morning for your quiz. Remember, we have a quiz tomorrow morning. So let me just walk y'all through how we're going to do that. I'm going to first go here, and this is me activating the quizzes. We go down to anatomy and physiology. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Right there. I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to assign it as homework. And I'm going to make it active until whatever date. And I'm not going to actually do it now, but I'll make it active until whatever date. It's going to give me something like this. I'm going to share the link right there. Copy that. And create a new email. I'm only going to send this one to me. Paste. All right. I'm going to send that with nothing on it. So I should have something in my inbox now. Where is the doggone inbox? Piece of junk. Come on, really? Close them. There it is. Go to my inbox, and there's a link right there for me. I'll click on that link. Huh? Where'd it go? Oh, I hate it when things don't work out. Sorry, guys. I know it went away. It shouldn't have took me to Zoom. Email. That's a Zoom link. How did that happen? Quizzes.com. Copy. Duh. We copied the wrong thing. I'm sorry. New message. I'm sorry. Copied the wrong thing in there. I knew it as soon as I saw it. Really? There it is. Quizzes. Okay. And then send that message. So in your inbox, you'll have something that looks like this. Click on it. It'll take you into the quiz. Enter your full name up here. And then start your quiz. Select a theme. Okay, I'll select a theme just because. Start. Which of the following are capable of making the Y chromosome? The male. It'll give you something like this. You can wait for it or you can click the next. Which chromosomes are called somatic? 1 through 22. And that's how you take your quiz in the morning. I'll send you the link at 7 o'clock or 7:30. Click on the link at 8, get you into the quiz. Take the quiz. When you finish the quiz, you don't have to send me anything. Just finish your quiz, which of the following means having 2 of each chromosomes. Bisome. And when you finish, it'll give me your grade. So I'll send that link at first thing in the morning. Go into the email, click on your link, take your quiz. At 9 o'clock or at 8:30 or so, I'll send the link for the class. The lecture will start at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. Go in at 8, take your quiz, get that done, be ready for the lecture at 9. So it shouldn't be a really difficult process.
Mr. Mahone.
Yes.
The PowerPoint that we did yesterday in class, I know you sent us the video, but can you send the PowerPoint?
It should be in the email that I sent out initially on Sunday. Remember, sent an email on Sunday instructing you how to get into the class and the PowerPoint at the top.
Oh, yeah. Well, see, I clicked on it, but it said that I couldn't. It said something about it was a bad link or something.
Download it. There's a choice to download it as well. Okay, so
Mr.
download it,
Mahone,
you can open it from your computer. Yes.
is that what the quizzes is on the power I can't even talk. The slideshow that we did yesterday?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. And all those red highlights in there. So if you're clicking on the link and it's telling you the file, there's a download arrow on there as well. Let me go back to the actual email itself. Back to Sunday.
Okay. Yeah, I'll try because like I did it just now and it says that it's the file cannot be previewed. It's corrupt.
Right. You get something like this. Introduction to Anatomy and Physiology. See that down arrow right there? Click on that. And it saves it to wherever you want to save it on your computer.
Okay.
So yes, click on that. Don't click on that because that's going to tell you it can't open. It's going to start like this and then, sorry, can't open it. Okay. So don't click on the actual link itself. Click on the arrow right here and download it to your computer. Save as, and let's save it to desktop. Save. And there it is right there. And remember, you have to have the PowerPoint program on your computer in order to open this. So download that PowerPoint. Just go into Microsoft Office or go into your web search and search PowerPoint. And it comes up with Home and Business, Word, Excel, Microsoft Office. You can find it in here. Or right there. Over to the side over there. And you want PowerPoint. So don't buy anything. Just keep going until you find the actual download for the PowerPoint itself program. Yeah. Actually, it was right over here. Presentation program, There's a download link in here. You can read through all that if you want, but there's a download link that lets you download the program. All right. So anyway, you have to have the PowerPoint program in order to open those. So, or find a PowerPoint viewer. Let's try that. Let's go PowerPoint. PowerPoint viewer. Download the latest version of PowerPoint viewer free. And there it is. Now this is something else. Make sure you don't click on the wrong things up in here. You know, they put a lot of ads and stuff in here. So go probably all the way down to the bottom of the screen. Somewhere there is a, don't get Google Chrome. So make sure you're not clicking on the wrong thing up in here. PowerPoint viewer. I hate it when they do this. When they put all these different download connections in here. If at all possible, guys, click on it. And then look what this. Do you want to what do you want to do with PowerPoint viewer? So that is the correct program. Okay. Read what it says right here. It'll tell you, do you want to install Google Chrome? No, that's not what I wanted. X out of it. But there's the PowerPoint viewer right there. You can download to your computer like that. So Google PowerPoint viewer, and you should come up with a program that will let you view PowerPoints. Don't click on that. Click on the down arrow to download it to your computer. All right. Even I have the purchased version of PowerPoint, and it still won't let me open it right here. It's got to be downloaded first. All right. Or the other options were to save it to Google Drive, and other options came up. So anyway, that was when I did this. Click there. You can download it to Google Drive or save to OneDrive, or you can download or save as. It's raining, y'all. It's raining hard too. Look at that. Oh yeah, my grass needs that. Perfect. All right. So anyway, that is how you can download that PowerPoint. Click on the, and you see it's only 2 megabytes in size, so it's not a very big file. Yes. Right, a question? Okay. The other thing that I want to talk about then is I'll send out the link for the quizzes first thing. But the other thing that I want to talk about is your homework. And is it in there? No, it's in here. Okay, so your homework will start at page 98. So you can go and look in your textbook while we're doing this part, page 98. And you can see that the homework is pretty simple here, pretty self-explanatory. Put in the name of what it's pointing at. And you will find these diagrams throughout the chapter with everything that they're pointing to and what you should be labeling on those. So you'll go back through the chapter. You'll find the diagram that matches the labeling and go to the labeling and complete that part. The same pictures. Now on your, when you're sending this to me or when you're doing this, you're going to write this out on a piece of paper or type it. Number 1 is pointing at blank. Number 2 is pointing at this. Number 3 is pointing at that, and so on. So you don't have to actually fill these out. If you have a printer at home and you want to scan it, write it in, and then take a picture of it, that's fine too. So you're going to start on page 98, fill in those, and you see the actual words are above it. Look at the diagram in the chapter to find out what goes in where. More labeling on page 99. On page 100, you're going to get into the word parts. Abdomino means abdomen. Absorpto refers to absorption, and so on. Where are you going to get these from? From the chapter. And where's the best place to find them? Right over here. In the margins on the right side of the chapters. Alimentary canal, alimento means food or nourishment. So you go right back to that page we just looked at. Alimento was one of them, food or nourishment. And what each word part means. And you see them all. There's linguo and glosso, salivo, oro meaning mouth, pharyngo meaning throat, and so on. So they're all here, esophagus and so on. So you'll find those best in the margins of the vocabulary review. Just look over to the right and you'll see them all over there. Let's find the one that we were looking for. We were looking for absorption. There it is. To absorb or take in. And then action or condition. So absorption is described as the action of absorbing or taking in. And that's how those work. So that shows us how to do that section. Go back through the chapter and find the word part that you're looking for.
Are we doing pages 98 through 100?
We're still going. We started at 98. We're still going. We're up to 100. Fill in all of those. And then page 101. 101 is the question, is the, what? Come on. Okay. Why isn't it zooming in? This is the page that most people have questions about. And why isn't I want to zoom in for me? Really? Okay. What they're asking for here is, if you look at number 2 on page 101, pertaining to the stomach. The word that you want to come up with is a word that means pertaining to the stomach. They give you the root word right here, gastro. So what word would mean pertaining to the stomach? Is gastro plus a suffix. You see the suffixes listed up here, ac, all, airy, ick, and so on. I'll tell you right now that it is gastric, pertaining to the stomach. So what you would write on the first line is ick, I-C. And on the second line, gastric, you'll put the two together. And where will you find those? In the vocabulary review in the same column on the right-hand side. We'll go and find it in just a second. Gastro plus ick, I-C. This won't let me write on here because it's a stupid, I hate when people use PDF. PDF is freaking useless. It's just a picture of the page. You can't do anything with it. You can't write on it, highlight it, or anything. So PDF just is horrible. I don't know why people use it. So you would put ick on this line. And I won't highlight it. And on the next side, gastric, G-A-S. Well, let me type it. No, I hate power. I hate PDF.
Mr. Mahone, I think you could
I'm sorry, what?
add notes right there on your screen.
I can't hear you. What?
Add notes on your screen.
Can I add notes on here? Not
No,
in
have it on the right.
over here? I don't know what you're saying. What are you saying? Say it
It
again.
says add notes. I think you can write on there if you press add notes.
Oh, if I want to add notes, and yeah, I don't want to, but okay. Yeah, you're right. Ick, and then gastric. What you want to write there, pertaining to the stomach. Now, where are you going to find that? In the same vocabulary review. Let's find gastro. Over here, G, G, G. How to get the P? So you want to do the same thing I'm doing right now. Find gastric. There's gastro, there's stomach.
You passed it already.
I did.
Yes, go back.
I go back one this way. You sure?
Another one.
Another one.
Oh,
Okay.
I saw it right there. You know you passed it.
I don't see
It's
it
at the top.
At the top.
On the blue side. Look at the blue side.
I'm looking over there.
Yeah, go. You passed it already.
I did.
Again. You passed it again. Go back to that.
Anyway, it's in there. You also find it in several other places. Like let's keep going to where they go to stomach.
It was on the same page as the diagram.
What? And there it is right there.
Right there.
Why isn't this letting me zoom more than this? This is crazy. Other times it zoomed in like 100 times. But right over here, gastric, gastro plus ick, pertaining to the stomach. So again, you're gonna have to do your research and you'll find it in there. The question was asking you to put the word that means pertaining to the stomach. And there it was, gastric. So you're gonna do that for each one of these. And then page 102. And I watched doing that because it's really bugging me a little bit. You should be able to zoom way in on this thing. And I was doing it before. If I closed it and reopened it, it'll work. All right. So anyway, process of around the intestines contraction. We call that peristalsis. Remember that? There's stalsis right there. Peri is around, peristalsis. Pertaining to the middle of the intestines. you're going to find the word part that means that, pertaining to the middle of the intestines. And write that word over here. You have enteric there already for you. The process of being without stool in the intestines. Fecation, defecation is what that's going to be called. Defecation, to defecate. And then pertaining to underneath the tongue. Lingual means tongue. Sub means below. Sublingual on this line over there. All right. And that's how you progress through your homework like that. So any questions with the homework we'll be able to address during class. Homework's not going to be due for a while. I think I'm going to make this homework due on Monday. So you'll have the weekend to work on it. I may attach some more homework to it, but you see where how we're going with the homework. And each chapter will be the same. You'll do the labeling part, then the word parts, and then the complete medical terms for each one of these. And later on in your class, in your classes, why gastro plus ick becomes gastric, we'll talk about that in your later classes. But you'll be able to see them in the chapter as you scroll through the chapter. All right, so those are the pages of homework, 98 through 101. Please write that down.
You mean 102?
101 right there. Or did I do 102 as well? Yeah, I'm sorry, 102. 98 through 102. Please write that down because I promise you in the next couple days, and y'all will hear them, somebody will ask me, Mr. Mahone, what are the homework pages? It's too easy to just ask than it is to go back to your notes and look it up yourself. What are the homework pages 98 through 102? So I'm going to tell you, look at your notes. There's no, what are homework pages? Look at your notes. It's there. And if you didn't attend class today, you're going to have to watch the whole video and get all the way to the end to find out what the homework pages are, 98 through 102. All right. So that is our homework, and then how we're going to do the quizzes tomorrow morning. You'll get a link from me. All you should have to do is click on that link. I'll be sitting here. So if you have trouble getting in, send me an email real quick, and I'll send you a personal link that will get you into the test. Okay? But you should be able to get into the link that I sent with no passwords or anything. Just enter your name and start your quiz. Finish the quiz, and then I will... after the class, or when we start class, we'll review the quiz, look at the high miss questions and so on. But this will be the biggest part of your grade is what you score on these quizzes. If you score 100, then you're pretty sure your grade will be an A in the class. Okay? So quizzes pretty much drive the grade more than anything else. I know that homework is considered in the grade, and so is attendance and professionalism. But the biggest part of your grade is going to be the quizzes that you take. So that'll be for tomorrow morning. Be looking for that link at 8 o'clock. I'll be sitting here in case you have any questions. You can email me and we'll get you squared away. And then the lesson will start, the lecture will start tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. But any questions so far about the homework or how we're going to do the quizzes in the morning? No questions? Okay. My wife just...
What time does it, what time does lecture start?
The lecture will start at 9 o'clock.
Okay.
And I'll put up...
And homework? When's homework due?
Homework won't be due for a while. I'll let you know when. Probably Monday.
Thank you.
All right. Go ahead, Yvonne. Anybody? Somebody else had a question?
How many? The quiz is if we take it only one time, and yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I'm gonna lock it this time. I know last module you were able to take it over and over and over again. This time it's gonna be locked. You'll take it one time. So study and prepare. Yes.
On page 101, just to make sure I'm doing it right, is number 3 going to be hepatocyte? Hepatocyte.
Cell of the liver, hepatocyte. Okay. Yes, you're doing it right. Yes, hepatocyte.
Okay, great. That's it.
And again, you'll find the actual word will be in the chapter somewhere. So
yeah, I found it in the chapter.
Find it. Yeah, hepatocytes. But yes, that's exactly what you need to be doing.
Okay.
Any Anybody else? Any other questions?
Yes. Do we just email the homework to you as soon as we're done? Or wait till you tell us to?
Yeah, I would prepare you wait until the due date. And that way I can keep all the homework together, all coming in together and writing, because I'm going to save it into a homework folder. It's not difficult. So if you send it early, it won't hurt me in anything. But I would prefer that everybody send them on the due date.
Sir, I made I made a Gmail. Can you switch the emails over to that one?
Okay, let's go and find you.
I did also. Did you get my email?
So one at a time. So who asked first? What's your new Gmail?
Okay, it's KARISSA. Oh wait, no. It's actually not that, sir. I'm so sorry.
You're right. Is it KARJI? Is this one right here?
Yes, that one.
Because this one keeps coming back as undeliverable.
Okay.
Yeah, I sent it this morning and it came back. No, wait a minute. Let me check in the groups because I typed it in wrong the first time, I think.
Oh.
See here, members, there you are. This is you right here, right?
Yes.
Carissa, this is one I've been sending it to. Yeah, I forgot to put the QC in front of it.
Okay,
So
okay.
That happened with that one. All right, so let me correct that. There it is right there. There's your new one. CQcarriage@gmail.
Yes.
Okay, so that's you're good. All right, so anybody else? Who else wanted to change?
Christy, I didn't know if you got my email to update mine or not.
Okay, what's your email that you sent me originally?
C Ruiz.
Is this one?
Yes.
C Ruiz. You don't want that one?
No.
Okay. All right, what's the one you want?
It's Christy Ruiz, CHRISTI. Ruiz, RUIZ.
Okay.
UC@gmail.
Okay, anybody else? Okay, add it. You got the email at the first one this morning, Christy?
I got it with the old email address.
The old email?
That one.
Okay, let me make sure this one is in there. CHRISTIRUIZQC@gmail.
Yes.
Okay. And I'll take this one out now so they won't be doubling up.
Okay.
All right, anybody else? Okay, if there's nothing else, then I'll see y'all tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock for the quiz and then 9 o'clock for the lecture.
Yes, sir.
All right.